Second by Gary. All in favor? Okay. And how about the minutes from our last meeting? Which was not December.
No. November 8th.
November. So, anybody have anything to add or delete? It's not allowed to delete, are we?
Sure, but if I said something random,
Edit?
yeah, for sure.
No, it's fine.
If there's something you're uncomfortable with, then it's.
I'd be surprised. Okay, who'd like to make the recommendation to approve the minutes?
Sure, I'll move to accept the minutes.
Second it.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go on to the next.
Slow down.
Come on, Steph.
That's
I
nice.
got a presentation at 3 to figure out here.
Oh, okay. So we have Rod and John here to talk about skate park.
Yep.
Hi, guys.
Yay.
Hi.
Good. Progress.
So Steph's giving you a generous 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Progress.
I'm not sure I'm gonna
45
give you 45 minutes.
That's a lot higher.
We might be able to build a skate park in 40.
One bowling?
Okay, maybe not.
All right.
All right, so,
Thanks for coming.
yeah, well, we're here because we want to get a skate park built on Bowen. Thank you, Steph. And,
Got lights
You know-
down, guys?
sure.
It's not a very exciting PowerPoint, so there you go.
Anyways, it's nothing new. It's been proposed before. It's never gone anywhere.
No.
You know what I mean? We've tried, Matt, who was in my position before, made a valiant attempt and met with a lot of resistance on many levels and ended up getting a grant from the RCMP and got some ramps built, like ramps and rails and boxes and stuff. And so we currently use that kind of gear for skateboarding. And what we would do is we store it in the youth center and we would pull it out and use it in the parking lot. However, that parking lot is now it's been pitted because there's a gravel driveway that goes down to it. So you can't ride a skateboard on it anymore. It's the gravel. So what we do is once a month, we take all the gear, we pop it in my truck, we drive it over to Fire Hall number 2, we set up all the gear, kids skate. I mean, it's quite an ordeal, but it's really fun. And actually what we found is we get the youth, but we've also sort of let the younger kids come as well. And it's massively popular, right? And then I don't know if you guys saw, but in the summer we brought over Kevin Harris, who's like a skateboarding legend for Pal Peralta and his demo team, and did a big presentation about. They have a great presentation about. Well, I mean, they do skateboarding demo, and the guys they bring are amazing, like top in the world freestyle skaters. But they also have a great talk about the positive aspects of skateboarding on the community and the positive aspects of skateboarding on youth, giving them something to do, kids who have no other outlet, that kind of stuff. They brought a guy named Constable Troy Derrick from Surrey RCMP, and he's an RCMP officer, he's a First Nations guy, and he's a skater. Yeah, so talk about somebody marginalized, you know what I mean? And he's got a fantastic story, and he makes a really nice presentation about the story of his life. Anyways, so I'd really like to get a skate park built, and Rod has been so great and has really jumped on board here. And, we had an initial idea. Am I moving ahead of our stuff here, Rod? Or?
No, but maybe I should just jump in and say
Sure.
where I sort of am fitting in at this point.
Sure.
And because all those things that John was talking about, this sort of history on Bowen of lots of ideas about skate parks, but not really getting anything done. To me, it really comes down to having a location and then putting together, a real workable solution. And from my perspective, I took up skateboarding when I was 40, so I'm still pretty excited about it. And my daughter is interested in skateboarding, and I just see how it's such a great community builder that I didn't know about for the first 40 years of my life, which is really amazing. And then the other amazing thing is since talking to John and just putting some feelers out into the community, people just come out of the woodwork. Like people that I knew about when Matt had put together the skateboard ramps for the youth center and worked with Spectrum Skate Park and was part of some of that discussion. And I even wrote on them a little bit. But I realized that really as things move forward, and particularly as I see, you know, a steady move towards a community center or some development of community lands, that there's an opportunity that's going to come up at some point for a skate park to be built. And if we have the kind of not very organized approach that's been coming so far with the skateboard park, an opportunity could be missed. And I think it was Terrace BC, I was reading, I get different feeds through social media about skate park groups, and Terrace started to recently they built a skate park, or it's in process right now, but the first opportunity that they had a spot, and the community had, and the municipal land was available, and there was a matching 70% grant, and I don't even know where it was from, but I'd have to pull up the article, up to $700,000 to build a skateboard park that they missed because they weren't ready. And so now the community has put in $500,000 with another $200,000 in grants, and are building a $700-something thousand skate park.
Which is a big skate park.
Which is a big, beautiful skate park. But at the same time, you know, if there was 70% of the funding available, beyond what private contributions and other things could be in there, you know, it could happen. And if we're ready, then it will happen. And if we're not ready, then we'll wait till next time or pay more or something else. And so this is what really got me excited about talking to John, because John is putting it out to the community. Let's build a skate park. How can we do this? Is it going to be homegrown? Is it going to be you know, something that's built in concrete that's really going to serve the community over a long time? Or is it going to be pavement? Is it going to be portable ramps, which have marginal use? You know, so there's all these things that are out there, and I just see it as such an opportunity to get some official and some like a task force is what I think it is, together, that has some real measurable steps and can start applying to grants, that has the backing of the community, that can engage the community, talk about what it is that we want, and then get it built. That's why those three words came up when I was thinking about my presentation. So that's where I'm coming from.
And we tried before, we had a plan in sort of in partnership with the Community Foundation to try to get one built just by the parking lot at the youth center. And Andy Fairweather, Rainsley, his son Finn is a big part of this. This all started really with Finn and Thomas. It was a youth-led initiative through the Community Foundation. This was their idea. So Finn and Thomas Pedley came with the idea, and they made designs, and we talked about, oh man, we were going to pave the thing to get rid of the gravel and all this stuff, but the costs were getting. So anyways, we ended up with a little design that was going to cut into the hill. Probably, Andy said maybe it cost us about 70 grand. It was tiny. However, just with that little project, we had almost 50 grand in-kind donations offered almost immediately. Andy offered his machines, his trucks. JP was going to give us concrete at cost. I mean, it was like, everybody was in, right? So anyways, everyone I've spoken to, now that didn't work out, because the Children's Center was going to extend parking, and it just never passed their board. Actually, well, anyways, it got very confusing, and then they started building more stuff. So we thought, well, maybe that's not the idea. Maybe we shouldn't do it on private land. Maybe we could do it on municipal land, which seems to make more sense. There was some people suggested maybe up by Tiernaug, where there's that parking lot with nothing, You know what I mean, between the grass field and the Timbermount parking lot. However, you got that up the hill, what are you gonna have? You're gonna have skateboarders bombing down.
Going down the hill.
Oh.
You know what I mean? They're gonna go skating, then they gotta get home somehow.
Then they gotta get
Yeah.
That's not a great idea.
Good
No.
point.
So
Sounds like
someone's
fun.
gonna-
Conundrum.
Well, me and Rob.
Think
Anyways,
I'm on board.
so then, I mean, the thing that makes the most sense is to have it tie in with the community center, where you'd have community center with a skate park, like every other town in the world. And then you'd have,
Well, they have a community center.
well, that's a bit wrong. And then you'd have your, you know, your fields, your school, your bike park, your youth center. It's a big strip. It makes sense. So we've had, through the Kevin Harris connection, we've had New Line Skate Parks, which is the largest skate park building company in the world.
Sorry, new
Um,
line.
New Line. New Line, yeah. And they've been super helpful. I mean, yeah, sure, they'd love the contract, they'd love to build it, but outside of that, they will give us all kinds of advice, designs. Rod and I were talking about this a while ago, like sizes. They said, well, you know, if we propose something and it's too big, you can make it smaller. Well, they've got designs for all different sizes that they're willing to just provide us with it, no problem, and give us the cost estimates and all that kind of stuff. So tremendous support from them. Kevin Harris, who's, you know, he owns the biggest skateboard distribution company in Canada, one of the biggest in North America. He's happy to come over and help with any presentation we have to give to council or whatnot. Wonder what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I just wanna say, you do know about the other plan that was supposed to be in lot 1? There was actual design and everything done?
I think that was with regards to Artisan Square development, is that what it
No,
was, or-
no, I can't remember who was involved with it, but it was gonna be across the school in that little piece of land that goes like this, you know, you got Mount Gardner and so there was a whole design and everything done there. I just saying it didn't work because again, the property was not gonna work very well for a skateboard park.
A lot of traffic.
But yeah, traffic in the hill and all that sort of stuff. But I just want you to know that there was a plan out there. So
Yeah.
people are gonna come at you and say, well, wait a minute, there was a plan, there was a design
Yeah.
Right.
done.
And I think there was more than just that. I think that there was
There was-
various initiatives, citizen-led, you know, sometimes youth, sometimes not.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
The one I'm talking about went sort of the farthest,
Mhm.
and, you know, actually having some guy from town come and do the design.
Right, right.
Sorry, I can't remember any of these names, but,
And in saying that, and I think that's a really important point, I think that engage the community is super important. And I get where John is coming from in the sense that there are lots of resources out there to get something designed. There is lots of support and there's lots of interest to do that by local people and by other independent contractors. But what I see at this point is we don't have a piece of land. We don't exactly know what we want. And so it's more fact-finding than designing anything right now. This engage section is the most important, and it goes on as long as it needs to until we find the location, or until like that location and money thing comes together. And there's no point in finalizing a design or pitching a specific idea. In fact, I think that you know, like that youth-led one that you were talking about that came up with a design that could happen by the Children's Center. You know, if that had gone forward, if there was everything sort of lined up, you have to ask yourself, would that still be the best solution for the community? Or would it be better to wait 2 years and put the concrete in the ground next to a community center, which might serve the community better? You know, and so what we want to do is make sure we're poised to at this point, I think, with this group, in a more structured way, look at the opportunities as they come up. And so this was my list after John and I met a number of times in the fall, just kind of going through things and talking through things. And this is what I thought was sort of our, you know, in priority, our immediate goals. And so first is just to form an official group, because John and I have sat down, and I don't know even how we would do that. Like, I think probably through the Recreation Commission, and somehow being directed by council to be a recognized organization.
Yeah, so what happened with the bike park is that we went into a collaborative project service agreement with the bike park group.
Right.
And that's signed between the municipality and the main people in the group who signed that.
Right, okay.
And that's the model I think we'd like to follow too, because they've done quite well with that, so we've sort of been watching what they do, and they did it right. So that's the model we'd like to follow with the bike park. And we have a number of people already willing to participate in the working group in various levels. We've got people who are like straight in, people who are gonna donate time and or resources. We've got people who will be liaisons to different community groups. So there's a lot of interest, and I tell you, I haven't met one person yet who tells me it's a bad idea, which I'm willing to amazing.
It's always a great idea until you start talking
Just
about
really
money.
put on Facebook and I'm toast. Yeah.
So I just skip forward for a second. So what I think we've seen so far, and John, this is just a short list of people, you don't need to be able to read it necessarily, but of people that we think would be core people who already have expressed an interest in some way or have said they have something to offer. And I think that list will expand. So I kind of see it as being under the, the direction of the youth coordinator, because John is in that position and he's interested and wants to do it, that we have a core task force. So I could chair that, or someone else could, or we could have co-chairs, but we would have an actual formal small group, 4 or 5, a committee that would essentially work with the Recreation Commission, that would, do the liaisons with the community that need to happen that way. And then there would be specifically some youth members, and that would probably change. Whereas I see this group existing, over a long period of time. Like it might be 10 years before this park is built. Hopefully it's sooner, but maybe it's longer.
It might be built in phases.
And it could be built in phases, and then there's operations, and how does it, just work with the community. So the youth members could be shorter term or even temporary term, but we would always have recognized youth members. And then the liaison people, with the different groups on the island that would have an interest. And we haven't had a specific discussion, for instance, with the Rotary or other community groups, but often they are involved in skate park development in the community. So we'd want to make sure that we're connected to them. And then the larger contact list. And inventory all the skills, interests, and contributions that people want to make, so that we can just access that. And it doesn't matter; it can be passed on through other people.
It's worth mentioning too, the skate park isn't just for skateboards, it's multi-use. It could be
That's
scooters,
right.
it could be
Yeah.
bikes, it's little
Right.
kids, it's youth, it's adults.
Yeah, that's
It's
what we
old
got
guys
to add.
like me, Ron.
Let's make sure there's parts in there for the little ones.
Absolutely.
Because they're gonna play.
Well, there, you know what?
Yeah.
When I do those skate days, let's say 11, even like 5 to 11, those are the kids and parents that are actually really stoked. They're always like,
Okay.
"Can you bring me?" They are really excited.
Yeah.
So how it has worked for the bike park group is that they secured the land through the municipality and had the collaborative project service agreement. The bike park group has basically done, they have liaisons with myself as the for recreation, and with Bonnie, who is the manager of parks. And we and because of where the bike park is situated, we've worked with Scott Slater at Bix, the principal of the school, and also Metro Parks, because we have to go through Metro to get to the bike park. So we're working with them on trails and access and signage. But the bike park group itself has basically taken on all of the fundraising, hiring the designer, hiring the builder, working with them, with Bonnie and myself, working closely with them as well to pull all of that together, which basically takes those reasons, just because the municipality doesn't have those resources to pull all of that together, the staff resources to do that. So they've taken on all the fundraising and everything for that. And they're really close. It's looking like it'll be built during spring break.
So you have to submit, you wouldn't have to submit the design in order to obtain the land parcel. Because what I'm thinking is.
The
it's-
design
I think they
have to
can-
go to council
Yeah,
to
I
be
think they came
approved.
for the
Yeah.
land first, and we sort of said, well, yeah,
Well,
we'll give you the land. but-
here's my thinking on that, is if it's integrated into the community center, well, until that is like fully in design phase, we don't really know what size, we can accommodate different sizes,
Yeah,
but how do you know what?
That's a
yeah.
land issue, Gary, I
That's-
don't know if I can speak to that.
I wish I could speak to it, and obviously, I mean, there's a lot of balls in the air, let's not be, coy about it.
Yeah.
First of all, the community center, I mean, we're fighting to get that built. And the other thing that's happening in that lot too is we're trying to do a comprehensive plan for the whole lot.
Yeah.
And, what I would like to happen, and I don't know if it's gonna happen, is we secure some land beside the plan we have now for the community center. So, secure some land beside it,
Right.
which would be at the far end, sort of getting around to the corner of the fence of the field there.
The baseball.
Yes, where the old baseball diamond in that corner. And, for various options that we're not supposed to mention, but let's just say in the future at some point in time, there's a swimming pool. But I did I say that again? Did I mention the SP again?
Yeah.
I just went through all those comments and feedback and stuff, it just goes on and on. But anyway, let's just say, we want to set aside some land. And I think that would be an amazing place for the skate park.
Yeah.
Right beside, in the fence, towards that corner, right? I really think it can happen. I think it would be a tremendous community amenity. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
You need a little bit, you gotta get a little bit deeper as far as organization and that sort of thing to come to council and say, hey, here's what we wanna do, and then get councils, say, hey, you know what, I think we'd like to do that with you. Then it just takes off, then it's just a matter of planning and, but at some point in time, you're gonna have to figure out how much dirt you're gonna need.
Mhm.
And
It's
one thing
also
that's a little different
referenced.
than the bike park is the bike park, we can go and take it back, it's just on loan.
It's just dirt.
Yeah, it's just dirt, and, they're quite okay with that, because there's not a huge investment. This is gonna be a substantial investment, and of course, it's gonna be permanent, so that's gonna be a little bit different. But yeah, bring it on.
And in the end, the bike park becomes a municipal park. So the
Yes.
municipality will take on the maintenance
Right.
and the liability, and that with the bike park, I would assume it would be something similar to that with the
I
skate
think
park.
that's in just about every community, that's the way
Yeah.
it's structured. So, I mean, there are lots of examples of how to structure that. I think we just have to reach out.
It's also referenced in the community recreation plan that we had done last year and the parks plan.
Oh, good, okay.
Both of those, as well as a
Yes.
sport court. which
Actually made it
is-
into the strategic plan, didn't
And yeah, maybe.
it? It might have got in there, yeah.
And the sport court
The sport court, yeah.
is also just another slab of
Yeah.
concrete, which is,
Yeah.
would also be great to have within that space. I like the fact that it might be, if it was
Could even-
beside the community center, it brings the youth to the community center,
Yeah.
it brings the youth in the doors.
Yeah.
Even if they're outside, it's also highly visible.
It has to have a high profile.
It's
location,
got a
there's no
high
question.
profile, and it's right there at
Well,
the
and
school, which
it's-
it will become a hub if there's a community.
It's nice
Yeah.
to have a skate park that is visible too, because you have it off in the middle of nowhere, everybody works, well, what are those kids doing off there?
Mhm.
Have a skate park.
And
that's
they
what
are-
you
they
see.
are doing it.
Hey, guess what they're doing? They're getting some exercise.
You don't have to wonder if they're doing it. Yeah, I remember when there's one up in North Van there off of Queens behind a community center, but it's way off in the woods. And I remember going in there at one point.
No, well.
There's one right at
that's-
Harry
That's the
Jerome.
goal, that's by
Is it Harry-
Harry Jerome.
Yeah, but is it way back in the woods?
No,
No,
it's
it's
right on the highway.
corner.
Okay, well, that's not the one I'm thinking of, because
Must
this
be
one was
another
way
one.
off in the woods, and it was quite a scene.
Well, that
Like, it
one-
wasn't comfortable
The
for
one-
kids or anything like
Oh,
that.
I know what
Park
you
Gate.
mean, but I think it's gone, because they
It
did
could
that
well be
whole,
gone.
they did
And
that
I'm
whole
going
community
back, I'm
center.
going back like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think it got torn up when they did the whole
Yeah.
building.
Probably-
Yeah.
probably.
Parkgate is a great prime example of having a skateboard park front and center
Yeah.
with the community center, and in constant use. I haven't been there for some years now, but back when we were in Deep Cove, and it was
Yeah.
great when it got put in. It's highly visible, it
Oh,
looks great,
Lonsdale,
kids
too.
are there.
Yeah, Lonsdale's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Ambleside
Yeah.
one is right there at the
The
beach.
new-
Yeah, the
new
outside,
Ambleside.
it's
Ambleside.
good, it's being
Yeah.
used all the time.
It's always being used.
Yeah.
The old
It's
swimming
very
pool.
busy. It's not beside the swimming pool.
No, it's the old swimming pool.
Oh, the old swing,
The
yes.
old swimming pool, yeah.
Yeah. Well, make it a big oval, and we could turn it into.
We could fill it.
That's right.
In the winter months.
When it rains a
If you're
lot,
ready to skate,
it's the swimming pool.
plug the drain and.
Multi-purpose, everything that we do has to be multi-purpose.
Skating rink. Skating rink.
Cool.
We do like collaborations, there's no question about that.
Yeah.
And that works really well. I don't know what else to say.
Well,
I think try to get this organization together, and I'm certainly willing to come along for the ride.
Great.
And,
So what would
see
you
where it
suggest in terms of going to, when to go to council, when they've got a bit more?
I think
It's
so.
hard
I
to
would
move
dig a little
forward,
deep. I would try to
maybe.
get this group together and have a meeting.
Yeah. You see, when I was writing this, I said, hold a professionally facilitated open meeting. And I don't even mean facilitated by one of the New Line Skate Park people.
No.
I think we should have an outside facilitator. And I know John had mentioned to me that people in the community have already said, hey, if there's gonna be a skate park, we've got some contributions to make financially. And I think that one of the first tasks of the core group is to sit down and say, okay, well, let's put a budget together to actually engage the community. Some of that's, a lot of it's gonna be volunteer, but some of it may be paid, and because I think going to council, if we've really gone through our list and created a terms of reference that's really understandable and engaged the community already and flushed out issues, then it's gonna be a walk in the
Yeah,
park.
then you'll be golden.
Yeah.
But should,
But you definitely have to, and you don't have to do fundraising yet, but you definitely have to get that group together. So it just gives it some legs, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you come to council, it's just not
should
sort
we
of
be
private
making a
stuff.
recommendation to council
Yeah,
at this
I
point?
would say it's
That would just basically saying that we as a recreation support this
the initiative.
initiative, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
That would be appreciated.
Something actionable
Yeah,
for
sure.
council though, just that the committee.
Yeah, it's just a committee.
Well, Kevin said he was willing to come and help us with this kind of stuff too. And
Yeah.
He's done this a million times in a whole bunch of different communities and knows all the ins and outs and in terms of how to get things organized and get things moving. And so I reached out to him and see if he'd be willing to come over. And he's like I say, he's done it so many times. He knows
Yeah.
where
Those
where
new
we
line,
might be lacking.
those
and
new
what we
line
can
guys
work
are
on.
good too because they're just so
Yeah.
enthusiastic.
Yeah, we need to draw on all those resources. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So do you want it to be say, I've just had something very basic here, but do you want it to say anything about the collaborative? I just have now the Recreation Commission endorse the efforts of the group of community members who are working towards the construction of a skate park.
Yeah, I think that's all we need for now, yeah.
Yeah, I think council needs to hear about it before we do the collaborative project.
Yes, I definitely, yes.
Just
of course,
general?
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
just
send
to
it out
say
there,
that we're.
and then
behind
some
it.
they'll pick up
The
on it.
group of two right now,
A
but
group of two,
Yeah,
yeah.
should I say as present? No, just leave that.
just leave it,
Just leave it.
because right now it's not really any, well, I mean, you guys have done quite a bit of work, but still, it's not really anything, so, but we're
Yeah.
supporting whatever you get
The
done.
idea.
So, yeah, the idea.
Concept, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and thank you for taking that on.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, fantastic.
nobody's voted on anything.
oh,
What do you want like to move?
do we have to vote on
What
that?
is it?
I think we have to
Recommendation.
recommend, right? We have to
Okay.
make a
Who'd
recommendation.
like to make the recommendation?
I'll recommend that we
Okay.
Yeah, good.
advise council that we're interested in pursuing the possibility of a skateboard park.
And seconded by Pam. All in favor? There we go.
All
Okay,
right, then.
thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much.
That's great, thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you guys for putting this on.
Thank you. Yeah,
Let's
that's
see
great.
it happen.
I guess one thing that I've been thinking about just before we leave is
Oh, yeah.
this terms of reference. I think is really important, and it's not something that I've necessarily gone through the exercise of before, but I'm aware of it, and I looked at some basic method, like sort of point items, but is there, so, like, I mean, I know Gary, you're keen to help with how you can, I mean, and Shauna, you said you're sort of a liaison with the bike park people, like, who can help us with this? That's what I wanna know.
I would say that try to get your group together,
Yeah,
and that should be something that happens at the group level, and that's
Yeah.
one of the first things that should happen.
yeah,
And then you get a chairman and a vice chair and all that stuff, and also your terms of reference, establish those.
right.
Shauna,
We could
It's
just
just
share the
aids.
bike,
yeah. Sure that.
I'd say-
share the bike park.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In terms of
Yeah.
I mean,
That'd be
there's,
good.
there's experience amongst the staff.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna leave you hanging out there to try to
No,
figure out
yeah.
this.
So in terms of liaison, you probably invite me and Bonnie from Parks.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
To,
I've talked to Bonnie
to
about it
be
before, so-
liaisons for your group, to
Sure.
as a link to the municipality.
Great. We've probably got, I don't know, 5 or 6 people already that are,
Great,
said they're
Yeah.
on board, so.
yeah.
So I know you've thought about it, and for phase 1, what kind of money are you talking about?
Depends on the size. That's the
It-
thing.
Well,
If you want to
You've
sing
thought
in
about it,
there.
you've thought about it, I know you've thought
Does it
about it.
sing?
Yeah.
You actually, I hesitate for John to answer this question, because I think, the numbers I threw out with Terrace at the beginning, it really depends. Like, if this thing really came together, like a park like Ambleside, I don't know if you've walked around the revamped Ambleside Park, which is just a flat ground park. But my wild guess is that, because it was flat ground to begin with, and what they did is they tore it all up and they repaved it in concrete, put some new features in. But nothing is like, there's no pool, there's no, there's no great big part of it. That's probably like a $200,000 project.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't limit anything. Like maybe it could be done for $70,000, something. Like your sport court, kind of idea where we just add some concrete features that could be, extensions of the sport court. But really, what is a fantastic skate park probably costs $500,000 or $700,000. And so I don't know. I have this feeling with the enthusiasm that's out there and the occasional grants and matching monies and things that come along that, we shouldn't set our sights too low in terms of what we want to build. And then as for the square footage, well, different styles of park have different square footages.
Yeah.
They can be very compact, or they can be really great, spread out, and have different areas of interest and different levels and skill levels and that sort of thing. So depending on the amount of land and then what we
Yeah,
want.
the one in Kamloops at MacArthur Island Park, I don't know if it is massive.
Yeah.
But there's little kids in one area and adults but
Well,
they're all right
Or the
there.
Whistler one is a
It's-
fantastic example as well.
And it was built in sections too.
It was built in stages, yeah.
I put the bowl in when I was 12.
Nice.
Sat on council and got that put in.
Yeah, it's more a function of size, I'm thinking not so much
Yeah.
thoughts of size,
Yeah.
because that's,
Well, that's where the New Line guys can help us with design ideas in terms, and also cost estimates.
Yeah.
Because they said, look, do you know how much land you're getting? I said, I don't know if we're getting any land, but it might be this big, it might be that big. I said, well, don't worry, we've got lots of different designs for all different sizes, and they're happy to just show us them free of
yeah,
charge.
everyone's different, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, or you can tweak them.
And so they will know, this is the size of the population, this is an adequate park for this 5,000 people, say.
You could do it that way, or it could be just based on the design in terms of what kind of terrain you want, because there's so many different types of skate
Yeah.
terrain. There's flatland, there's bowls, there's, you
Don't do a
know,
bowl.
It would be
pump
interesting.
tracks.
No, they had a bowl at Glen Eagles, I worked there,
Yeah.
and it never, except for the real hot shots, it just didn't get used.
Oh, yes, I might.
all the time.
You guys must be hot shots!
Is there a limit as to how much land that the municipality would be willing to?
Oh,
Well, they haven't even thought about it
Like
yet.
that's the, you could be capped simply just by the amount of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, so,
It's probably a good idea to come up with a couple of plans. A
Yeah, I
Plan
think
A, a plan B, and
It
a
might-
plan C.
It might also be good to explore various locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to have backup
Municipal
locations and backup plans.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this off.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I am sorry, but we got a fair amount to do, and we could go on for a few weeks.
I
probably,
gotta
to talk
go
about
cook
all
some
this
ribs.
stuff.
Yeah, great idea.
Can I just make one more suggestion?
Yes.
Just in terms of, and I'm sure this is part of the plan already as well, because you had some youth things in there, but what might be good when you're talking about features that you want is to maybe do a little workshop with youth who you know are interested. And it sounds like you did that with Finn and Thomas, but to be able to invite a bunch of them to find out what the community wants, council will
Sure.
like to see that that is part of the engagement, that the
Yeah.
users have been consulted in how, what they might want.
There's those guys, the Ruloff boys, there's quite a few kids who are pretty interested in, and would love to participate and get their, I mean, are you kidding?
Yeah.
What do you want, what do you want on a
Yeah.
skateboard? They'd be like,
I want this, and I want that, I want.
Yeah, when
Well,
come to
get
council,
those- get those
fill
little
every
ones
chair.
involved.
And I think that's what happened with the
That's
bike
with the
park
bike
too,
park.
Yeah, it is,
is
isn't
that
Yeah.
I
even at the
remember.
council meeting, all the kids came.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
With their bike helmets.
with their bike helmets on.
How do you say no?
Quite a, yeah, please, sir.
Well, thanks again for your time,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much
much
for
for
coming.
coming.
Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, take care.
We appreciate the work, it looks good.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Steph.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, elections. Who knew?
I was sitting here quietly thinking, wow, we were supposed to,
Thank
we
you.
didn't know we were doing a
No, I didn't know we were doing elections.
I think-
I guess I should have looked at my email.
I know.
I think that was in
Too
the
late to
agenda.
mail. Should've stayed home. Then you would've got elected for sure. Do you get around again?
The sun is not.
What's your platform?
My platform is that I'm going to run. Somebody else needs to do this.
Nominate someone. There's one way.
Everybody look away.
I would-
I think I just put something to eat here.
No, I kind of said.
Well, I really wish Sonia was here, because I think Sonia would be great.
Let's do it, let's just vote her in.
There, the voter is.
Price to pay if you don't come.
Well, she'd be great.
Somebody call her on the phone, quick, get an answer.
Sure, you don't want to be chair.
Yeah.
So if,
Somebody else should, Catherine's.
if there's a nomination, then the person's you're the one to meet.
Oh, I don't think we can do that.
They have to-
No,
they have
I
to-
mean,
They have to, they
yeah.
have to say yes, I know, but can we defer it?
Oh, we can defer this, but is there nobody else at this table who's interested?
Well, not me, I got my hands full.
Well, yeah,
We wouldn't do that to you, Karen.
not you. He's going down.
Not you. We all know, not you.
Greg, you want to?
I kind of feel like I don't really know exactly what's going on.
Okay, join the club.
All you have to do is run the, all you have to do is run the show.
There's a lot of support.
Yeah.
Sean,
I mean, if
Would
nobody.
you want the chair?
I don't think I can.
No.
No, it's not.
it's
She's
not.
not voting.
I'm not a voting
Oh, you're
member.
not, okay.
I think Catherine's very good.
I like
There you
that.
go, Catherine.
I'm gonna nominate
But
Catherine.
Catherine's been doing this for 5
I would
years.
second that.
4 or 5 years.
I have been
Pick
for a
another
long
one,
time.
so
I don't
it's-
want to be,
You might
I saw her nod her head, yes.
Catherine's done her 2 terms.
No, I think you need to pass this down here.
Oh,
before
I
this
can
guy's
make my arms
the
on
whole
somewhere.
I mean, the advantage of me being it is that I am around during the day to talk to Shauna if there's anything that needs to be done.
Well, that's
And I don't
perfect.
mind doing that. I mean, I don't mind running the meeting, but I don't want to be, I want to be the
Margaret Thatcher of the.
Yeah, exactly, that's what, or the Donald Trump or whatever.
Don't say that.
Just took a
One
turn.
acre.
Reading it.
How about if we promise to you real easy on you?
Oh, yeah. You know,
Trust
it's
us.
so hard on me.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Well, I think we
I
should
feel like it's
ask,
happening.
maybe
We're
ask
on the
Shauna.
How about a vice chair? Does anyone want to take the vice chair on?
Aren't you the vice chair right now?
Yeah.
You don't wanna be it again?
I'll stay vice chair.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you
I'm
go.
okay with
Yeah,
vice
yeah,
chair.
that's what-
Way to go,
Perfect.
Noah.
So the recommendation is that the Recreation and Community Services Commission recommend that Noah Price Jones be elected as vice chair. I'll move that. Second, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's chairing already though, there
He's
you
already
go.
chairing.
The best part is, I
You're
don't
done,
need the
man.
chair.
You
I
are
don't
so
have the
done.
chair. That's no way out of the
You
chair.
are so good.
Yeah, wait a
Relax
minute.
now.
You appointed the chair. How did that happen?
Well, you could have done that.
Doesn't the vice just step up to be chair?
Well, you might
Sometimes,
not.
but you're such a good chair.
Sometimes.
That's why I
This could
nominated
be a
you.
grooming period.
Yeah.
It's a succession plan.
It doesn't say that in here.
Okay, no, this is now a grooming session. I'm writing it down.
Or
Noah is to
succession
be
planning.
groomed.
Groomed. Yeah. Fix his hair.
Well, I'm gonna be away in March, so you have to run the meeting then.
Awesome, okay.
There's your first grooming.
So Randy, we've done this.
Interesting
voting
chair.
You've done vice chair.
I know,
You gotta defer the chair?
Been
Or-
around.
or
Pam, come on.
Well,
That was my excuse, you gotta come with your own.
Like Catherine, you have such
Like,
a
would not- I
depth
would be awful.
of knowledge that like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
feel
agree.
like I have, like every time we have a meeting, you go way back, right?
She's not gonna check.
There you go.
We're not killing her.
Way over there. Like, deep into the coffers.
Okay,
It's not gold.
I meant that.
The nicest sort.
Oh.
Way.
So why don't we just defer that and give you time to think about it?
Well, I'd like to ask
We
Sonia.
could ask, we could
Yeah.
defer it and ask.
Or why don't we, I've got an idea, why don't we elect who's chair now, and then we can rescind it? And
Sure.
elect Sonia.
Yeah, I'd love to be rescinded. That would be
Is
fun.
that easier than deferring?
Impeached.
In your.
Yeah, okay, we can defer it.
Okay.
Has Sonia expressed any interest in it?
No.
Neither of you, so.
But
Just that she's not here.
when I coordinated the Sunrun Clinic, I nominated Sonia for that too when I.
Oh, so
you guys
there's
got
some history here.
Here, Sonia, you do it. And she did a great job.
Okay, so we'll defer then.
I guess we'll defer. Thank you.
We'll defer on the grounds that Sonia's about to be victimized.
Sonia's not here.
Yeah.
Is anyone gonna communicate this conversation with her?
I'll talk to her.
I say we just put her on speakerphone now, not give her a chance to back away from it.
Is she away? Do we know where she is?
It's not like her to not say something, so I don't know what's happened with it.
She knew there was an election.
She knew her agenda. She's like, I am not going.
Yeah, she made.
That's what the smart people do. That's what the smart people do now.
Okay. And the meeting schedule. Has everyone looked at that and thought that works? Why have we had so much trouble keeping our schedule?
No, this is just an annual January elections and schedule every January. It happens, so.
But this wasn't our regular meeting then.
No, because Steph and I were away
Oh.
on different weeks
Oh,
for
okay.
conferences already in January.
Christmas holidays, conference.
Okay. So.
So typically,
But
it's-
we're not gonna go back, are we gonna do the second week in February, which is like 2 weeks away from now?
which is also Valentine's Day.
Uh-oh.
Such a special.
Sounds like some chocolate hearts.
Delicious.
Romantic night.
Oh,
We do
I'm
share.
fine to be here on Valentine's Day.
I'm not expecting anything to happen in my house either, so.
Yeah. For the
Bunch of
Lonely
Lonely
Hearts
Hearts, yeah. Lonely Hearts Club.
We could have a blue Valentine. We could make this a blue Valentine meeting.
I would rather not of it. I mean, not that anything's going
Bragger.
on, but
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
That's fine, and it is only 2 weeks away, so it's
Yeah.
pretty tight.
Okay, so the third week?
Maybe the third.
The 21st?
Yeah.
Good
We
with
don't
that.
wanna, let's not make it a month because then we just keep messing it up.
So
So,
I'm
yeah.
gonna say accept, I'll say accept.
So then we're
August.
gonna run into spring break. I'm just
Oh, when's spring break?
putting this
Well,
out
first
there.
week
The
of March.
19th,
Or
those
second week.
last 2 weeks of March.
So we could still fit in if we went back to the second
Yeah.
Wednesday in March, we can still do that before spring break.
But that's only 2 weeks,
where are we
well,
doing
3
February?
weeks.
There'll be 3 weeks, yeah, I like your idea,
Yeah.
Where we-
Yeah.
We'll get back into
Trying to
summer.
get back close to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing the 21st in February?
Yes,
Okay, that's good. Put that in there.
and then we'll do the, whatever that is in March, the right night in March.
The 14th of
14th.
March.
So we said the
this is at
23rd?
Yeah,
Fine.
21st.
Can't see my calendar, there it is.
Okay, 21st and the 14th.
That's terrible.
Is it the 14th of
Yes.
March?
And
And
then
is it
we'll be on
5?
schedule with the second Wednesday of every,
We'll say except August unless there's something.
except August, and July's questionable.
Yeah, we'll look at the summer as we get closer, if there's
Yeah.
stuff that needs to be dealt with, or, you know, people go, "Oh, it's summer. you know,
Can always cancel, it's just a,
Yeah,
It's nice to vote on
Just
this,
a
so it's like the
place-
committee's agrees, works for the committee,
Bit of a
and then
placeholder.
change it,
Well,
it's fine, but
it's part of the deal too, eh? It's part of the regs, we gotta put
as
some
we covered
dates
this
in.
afternoon.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm chairing that March one, for sure?
Yes, you
Okay.
are, sir.
March
Alright.
14th.
I'll be with the gorillas and off.
For you.
So we'll be saving in there.
21st. And what date did we say in March?
No.
14.
14th.
So, the Recreation and Service Committee recommended its meetings be held every second Wednesday of the month at 5:00 PM, except August and February, which will be on the 21st.
Sounds good.
Thank
Mover? I need a vote.
Noah is moving it,
Thank you.
Gary's seconding it, all in favor?
It's like,
Craig?
Yeah.
say a little hydraulic.
Okay, unanimously.
Okay, good, that's good.
Awesome.
Tick, tick, tick.
Well done.
Ooh, action items, I think I was supposed to do something I didn't.
All right, so action items. So those are just right out of the work plan, and
Yeah.
Steph and I thought we may just kind of run through them and give a little update of where we might be at with,
Okay.
with achieving some of those. A lot of them might not be relevant yet. Some of them we're gonna take care of tonight in terms of becoming familiar with the FAQs. But Catherine, do you wanna just read through the action items and we can just, whoever's kinda got an idea or?
Okay, so I'll just start from the top here. So support the community center fundraising committee on initiatives as required.
So that, there's no initiatives yet, but they're coming.
They're coming, okay.
They be coming.
Because I
They
can't
be
hear
coming.
about them, but I haven't. So just be aware that if there is something that we can step up into, let's do it. I don't, fundraising, but we can do something.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay, be available to discuss the community center with the public with accurate information at community events. So that is where we get to our little contest. To see if we memorized our facts.
That's right.
So we can change that time.
Yeah, so that was based around, so we'll change it to ongoing, that was based around that first
Oh, right,
open house.
yeah.
There isn't any other open house at the moment officially, but there likely will be, so.
Okay, so the second one is, or the third one is basically the same thing. It's become familiar with the facts on the project website.
Yeah, so we'll be working on that tonight.
Be a positive advocate for the community, for the building of a community center, which we all are.
Or the meetings will continue.
Hold on a second. So I've been pushing the community center, but I was telling Shauna this, in my peer group, I have massive pushback on the community center.
Oh, really?
Because the municipal hall is going in it.
Yeah. Oh.
Huge pushback on
So
it.
what
do
have
they
you
like?
said to them?
I'm just listening to them, first of all, right?
Yeah.
And most of them feel that we should have a separate building for a municipal hall, and then we should have a community center that is just community center based.
Yes. Like, why are they taking it
Now,
over?
I understand the reasoning behind it, because we're using the leverage of the money that we're
Yeah.
raising. I understand that, right?
Yeah, so that's important to get people to understand.
But what
that.
I got pushed back on with that
Yeah.
was, a friend of mine was doing the tax, like what the tax increase would be. And he's like, well, for an extra, not even $100 a year on your taxes, we could have just a community center. And then municipal hall could be built still with that leveraging money somewhere else or on that property separately. Like there's,
I don't-
I'm
why-
getting that push. from
What,
them.
what are they saying? Why, if they have a problem with the municipal hall being?
I think
in
they
there?
just, they feel like it's not a community center. because that's attached. I am pushing that.
Do they
We need to
understand that
start-
a lot of the municipal halls rooms will also be used for community
Events.
in the evenings and
spaces.
and
Just
stuff?
spaces in the minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so those rooms are gonna be available.
I did not say that to them.
Okay, so that's a good thing to say to them, that
There's a community conference room, which would be like this room, but
Yeah.
bigger, and it would be available, at night.
well,
in the
most some
evening.
evenings.
Plus-
And then there's another.
The council,
another
the
meeting
council
room.
chamber
That,
It's just
yeah,
like this,
will
but
also
bigger.
be available.
plus the meeting room, big meeting room that would also be available.
Okay.
So it's.
There's a lot of
it
synergies.
is- Yeah,
In the
definitely.
construction and a whole bunch of other things.
The
I
other
know there's
thing
a
I was
time, but that's,
thinking
I'm
is-
just telling you, like, this is,
Yeah,
this is what
okay,
I'm
no, I
getting when
appreciate
I'm
that.
pushing it,
Yeah.
That's
right?
good, so
Yeah.
you need to be able to
Because
step
that's-
off and say, this is why this is happening. I mean, having two buildings, then you're gonna have two systems for heating
Oh,
and
yeah.
cooling and plumbing, and you have one building where it's all in there, then you save a whole lot of money, because everybody uses everything, right? So that saves money.
Are there any other community centers that have used this model before? So we're kind of trailblazers?
I would say so.
Okay.
It's a nice way to put it, trailblazers.
Positive spin
A
on
lot of
it.
people would agree, but, yeah, you know, the problem is we definitely have to have a new city hall. We need municipal offices. I mean, we're gonna lose these at some point in time. It's costing us.
And these are
But
expensive.
anyway, that's,
Right?
but that's a point well taken, and bring it
Yeah,
up to the
it's-
next community center thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna
It's gonna be a
change.
tough one, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
I
gonna
can't see
change
it
either.
changing.
It's just
So
how
you just
to-
need to
It's-
try to
it's-
explain why it's
Yeah.
happening.
The synergies is a
The
good
bottom
way-
line
good way
is
to
money.
say it.
It's
Yeah.
all
It's all
about
about
money.
money.
Think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was kind of interested, they said they would be interested in paying $100 a year more in taxes. I
Yeah.
don't think that would be a selling point, maybe it is amongst
And-
your peer group, but I don't think it would be a big seller anywhere else, so that's,
Yeah.
are they aware of that? Like, what they're saying
Yeah.
is probably less, is.
They're
is-
aware of, yeah, they're aware of what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's not like just a random person. This is a very business forward thinking entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, he is
So
very
they're talking $100 extra?
like, yeah, he knows.
$100 extra?
Yeah.
Over top of the
Over
fire
top of
hall.
Because
what
you've already
might-
got
Yeah,
the
the fire halls are 69
And-
bucks or something, but that's for,
That's 3 million, right? So you're looking at
That's
10.
3
So
million.
you're asking for. They're saying I'd rather pay $200 opposed to 130 for. That's what they were saying.
now, do they just want a standalone?
Yeah.
It's just a standalone community center. Do they want some more facilities in there? They want a gym in there, of
Like
course.
gym,
Yeah, of course.
racquetball,
Yeah,
pool.
So now we're,
you're looking at-
oh, don't even talk about a pool, because a pool,
I
you know, it's just.
Yeah,
I know.
The cost is just so
I mean, I get it on the gym. I actually, I would agree. I would be willing to certainly put $100 on a year, as we get a gym. That would be amazing, but.
Well, down the road, I would like to see.
I don't know
a
that's
swimming
gonna
pool and a
sell.
gym.
It won't- I know it won't
down the road.
In the bigger picture.
Yeah, and
But it's a lot.
the
It's a lot of
community-
people.
One thing we
that are
have to
thinking
remember is the community put money into the school gym
Mhm.
to have a bigger, double the size of a regular elementary school gym. And so that's a selling feature for the older folks, because they know they spent money to put that gym in, and that's, the plan is that gym will continue to be used for recreational programs. So that's why the gym is not included at this point. I would love to see it added, second phase or
Yeah.
whatever, because I'm
Yeah.
sure we need another gym. But that's the thinking behind that.
So that's a group, that's a demographic who won't necessarily wanna pay more money.
No.
They feel like they've already paid that money.
Yeah.
So they won't wanna pay more money to put a new gym in the new
I think that's a
facility.
tough sell.
I don't think it's a gym per se. Like they want weight rooms, racquetball, I can't speak to exactly what. Squash, all kinds of
I
stuff
didn't
like
even
that.
know it was popular anymore.
You know, there's other stuff,
it's
right?
another
They were
meeting
throwing
room.
things at me,
Oh, I know,
right?
Could the council please duck?
Well, I think, what I understand from people is that people want a community center, and they were buying into a community center, not a municipal hall. And I think when the municipal hall thing came in and everybody, it said, okay, municipal hall is now going to be the community center. And people are going, well, hang on a second, we want a community center. We want a recreation facility. We don't want the municipal hall to relocate into those rooms that are now being built.
All right.
So how do
And
we?
and I think that's where people have.
Yeah, so the
That's
rooms that are
separate.
being built for the municipal hall were never recreation rooms that the municipal hall has moved into. It was never that. The municipal hall was designed specifically for the those rooms were specifically for the municipal hall.
And we don't have,
With the ability to use some of those rooms in downtimes. So, I know I felt upset when I heard the municipal hall was going in there and they were taking the majority of the space.
Yeah.
Majority.
no, a third.
It's the
A
third.
third, but the
Yeah,
third.
only a third.
and it's-
Okay.
It's only a
50
third.
But
square
it's
feet to be exact.
not that the whole recreation facility has now morphed into a recreation
So-
facility and
So
municipality.
it's become a community facility. So community includes government. So that's really how we have to maybe just turn it in, it's a community facility. It's got theater, it's got recreation, it's got government.
I also, the plan, like the way that the layout of the building is now, which I can't, it hasn't been to the steering committee yet, so I don't feel like I can bring it out here, but there is gonna be a, when you walk in, the whole idea is that you feel like you've walked into the community center, you don't feel like you've walked into municipal
No.
hall.
Oh, good.
Walk in.
I was just thinking of getting those.
Are these
You-
correct?
They're in the hallway, and no, they're not current.
These are not current.
No, unfortunately. But you, they're sort of
We tried
current, sort of
Thanks,
current.
yeah.
If you bring in that one with in the hallway, I think it's a little
That
bit.
we're not allowed to
Well,
see.
No, you're allowed to see that one,
Oh,
but it's a
okay.
little different now.
Just
But,
change it.
you're gonna walk in, there's gonna be reception, it's gonna be like walking into a community center.
Yeah.
The reception is there.
You
They're
will
gonna
not
say,
know that the municipal
"Hello."
hall is there.
That's right. You won't be looking like you're walking into Municipal Hall. Someone is gonna be there, they're gonna say, "Hi, Noah. Are you going to the fitness room?" That's not the one, Steph, sorry. It's the other one.
I'll get it.
I get it.
It's okay, go on.
This is good because it does show the differentiation between the.
Yeah, all the yellow is,
Things.
except.
Yeah, just that floor plan stuff.
But the reception is gonna be your recreation clerk who says, "Hi Pam, are you here to go to the..."
Yeah, are you paying a parking ticket?
That's not what they're gonna say. There's gonna be a separate door. Exactly. There's gonna be a separate door that you go into to go pay your parking ticket. So I'm wondering if that's.
Anyway, you know, it's hard to.
That's one I like there.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different, but if you see where,
This now becomes reception for here.
we can bring this one a little bit closer, maybe, stand.
It falls down.
Fall down.
Put a chair,
I'll grab
behind-
the other stand.
put a chair behind it.
So if this is the main entry, this reception area has now been reworked into basically 2 receptions. So this is gonna be still the main entry. If you wanna go to the municipal hall and pay your parking ticket, you're gonna walk through some other doors to go in here, and this is where you're gonna do that. If you wanna just come, to go to the weight room, this person, which is gonna be closed off from the municipal hall, there's a couple people sitting here, and that's gonna be the person who greets you, that's the community center reception, it's the community center entrance, per se. So you talk to this person about paying for your weight room drop-in. You talk to this person about getting your tickets for the performance that night. You talk to this person about taking your kid to play care. You go into a separate door, so separate glass doors probably here. Now you're in municipal hall. This is where you're gonna talk to an administrative person who's gonna take your money for your bylaw.
And these are gonna be community spaces, right here and here, and that's changed up a bit too, but it's essentially
It's
the
the
same.
same
So
size,
really,
but
the
location
municipal
has
is just this blue area.
It's the blue area, right?
And it's not,
Yeah.
you know, it's not that huge.
So the community center piece of it is all the rest of it.
I guess what I would be concerned with is I would see the municipality growing and actually absorbing more space over time.
Yeah.
In that building?
And that's my only thing, like when a push comes to shove, the muni will take the space.
Oh.
No.
No,
I don't
think so. The offices, there are a couple of extra seats, like in the open office area already for expansion. We've built that in. And
Public Works is already.
Public Works is gonna be down.
Elsewhere.
Elsewhere. And I just, yeah, I think the community, when you look at the programming that's gonna happen in the community space, I would be very surprised if that.
Once again, perception is probably more powerful than reality. That would be, just from my time on this earth, watching government grow, is, it's relentless. And, yeah. And so it's like the common space, or the space that would be my fear. So if you could address that, or sort of,
the only way to address it is-
alleviate my concerns,
Well, I
which
think
are shared,
if you
then,
remember that there's a possibility to build in stages.
yeah, that,
So if the municipality, the government is growing, then add a floor, whatever they can do to expand their needed space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're gonna grow too.
yeah,
You know,
well,
so
that's
we're
why,
gonna
yeah.
space as we go along, so.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that maybe that's how you address that thing. Like, if there is a need for growth, then both will.
Yeah, I think it's important when we sort of plan and rezone this lot too, is that we leave lots of space for growth.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Yes, it will.
I mean, think about it as a Stanley Park. Who had the wisdom to put a Stanley Park in there? I mean, it's fantastic.
I think it was the first.
It's not quite Stanley Park. But
But if you, like, my
we
experience.
gotta have land. If we
No,
got it
no.
now, we gotta make sure that we secure it.
We have to
Yeah.
make sure, because
Yeah.
West Vancouver, when they redid the community center, the day we moved in, it was too small. Glen Eagles,
Yeah,
too small.
Yeah.
You know, they complained about it's not being used, so you start programming it, and it's like, there is no room, I can't put anything else in there.
it's the same thing in
And
Falls
also-
Creek. The day it opened, they started looking at building it
Other
bigger.
places, yeah.
They had
So
to.
We
They,
have to make sure there's land, because it's gonna
Yeah.
happen here, for sure, which is great, it's fantastic, but let's make sure we got the place to move and grow.
it's gonna be difficult, I think, to change it fundamentally, the plan now,
Yeah.
other than throwing it off and
Yeah,
reworking
that
the
would be
whole
a
thing.
huge amount of
That's the
money.
unfortunate thing, like, once you start at this stage, you've gotta start working on this one, and any changes to this, just throw the timelines
So
off.
does
Yeah,
that-
and
It
there's
does,
certain
and we've
points-
already,
well, the timeline's
this is,
already
you
about a
know,
year,
we're
right?
already
Yeah.
four
Yeah.
four
But
phases.
since
into
2020 in the
Your mind at all?
FAQs.
Do you see that the
Not
municipal
design.
hall is really, it's attached, but it's really separate? Does that?
Well, I have these same concerns, and because, and I know we were all excited going, oh yes, a community recreation facility, this is awesome, and then you go, oh, well, actually, it's not quite that.
It was never called a community recreation facility,
No,
Okay.
no, never.
ever.
It's always.
Because it
been-
isn't. I mean, we have very limited
Yeah.
recreation in there.
I think you also want to be able to sell that that's is a services as well. Paying parking tickets maybe, but there's also advantages to having a center, community, like, so you could go, go and talk, you've got concerns with whatever.
It's everything.
It's something you can do, yeah.
Then we could all go to the gym.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are you gonna get riled up when you're talking to the staff? Well, you come on over to the living room.
Work it out, work it out.
Can I just ask a question for Noah and Sean possibly about the history? Wasn't there already a suggestion of having a more expensive, not anchor tenanted community center, like before my time living here, and then the vote was no? The community voted on it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that has been presented to the community, and they said no. They won't pay that much, that was.
There's
Well,
long.
I think that was,
I think it's a different demographic.
Way
Changes.
different.
and it wasn't very well planned, and it was pretty rushed.
The history.
Yeah, you put it away, you put it away.
I'm not the chair.
Yeah.
It was a pretty rush job. It was like, we've got to get something built, let's do this, let's make this really basic plan. And there was a pretty strong voice, No Voice, who published a lot of information out there. And it didn't lose by a huge amount, but it didn't go. And the arts people have tried to do something, but again, they have a business plan and stuff, but it's pretty.
But they also need the support of the municipality in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing, I mean, the arts community can't make it work
No,
without,
without somebody paying
the muni in there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
everybody
It's
has
just-
to come together to
Yeah.
make this happen, and I feel like there's a lot of efficiencies in this.
Well,
plan
there certainly
with having-
is, and it's, I think it's the only way it can happen,
Yeah.
personally, but unless we wait another 5 or 10 years, then the costs are gonna be 100% more than they are now.
Exactly.
So, it's,
I think everybody, I think the community is so ready that even if they're not totally happy, they're desperate for something. And they're sick and tired of hearing the talk.
I like to call it phase one, but I got sort of shot down on that,
Yeah.
Which, then there's hope that there will be an expansion, and, there is gonna be something in the future, but we can't sort of say it's gonna happen.
No.
What might be key, and I'm not sure where we're at with it, is the development and the conceptual plan of all of Lot 2.
Yes, exactly.
To
Well, that's what I'm
show
saying, yeah.
what is,
Yeah,
what
And
is
if we can
planned
show-
for expansion.
and hopefully it'll happen in the not too distant future, but if we can show that there's another 50% worth of land up at the top end or something like that, that we're holding for something,
Right.
then I think that'll bring a lot of people along and say, hey, okay, they've thought about this and this is all we can do now. And the reality is, that's all we can do now. And then it's gonna be a push to even get this going.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be, it's gonna be a push to sell it, it's gonna be tight
Yep.
again, I think
Oh,
it'll be
I know.
tight. I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna be a slam
Well,
dunk.
the
in
Depends
the
on how
ground.
much money we need,
The
that's
advantage,
what
the
bottom line
advantage
is.
to this is we do have the arts
Yeah.
and the recreation together,
Yeah.
which we've never had before. It's, arts people always said, no, for the way, we don't have anything, and recreation saying, I'm not supporting the theater, we don't have anything. So we have it together. So that brings
I
it-
could bring a group of people that are naysayers to this and we could bring them here and explain it to them.
Have they got any of the
We had an open house.
information
They come
sessions?
to the open
Yeah.
house.
The voice their
That's
opinions?
fine.
Because I haven't seen that anywhere,
Right.
either in writing or.
I don't know if they've always been
talking
there,
about it
it's just
Or the
through
council.
different groups and stuff like that, yeah.
Anyway, it's, we'll bring it into the next meeting,
I don't,
and I don't know how we deal with it.
But
I
that's
don't
the thing,
think-
like,
I don't
well,
think they wanna come here,
I can bring them.
but I don't want them.
No, this isn't the right venue for that.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
not the chair.
I'm not the chair.
It's not, this isn't,
That's the
we're not the right
majority.
people to talk. We don't have a lot of information.
Right, but I'm just saying with that's why we're on this thing, right? Being a positive advocate. I'm
Yeah.
being a positive advocate, but I get a lot of pushback in my group. That's all.
Well,
And it's
it's
good
only-
that
So
you
that's why I'm
raise
bringing
that,
this
because
up.
Valuable
it is
information to have.
It's really valuable
Right.
information, because your group, your demographic makes up
Yeah.
a huge part of this island.
Yeah, and it's
Sure
also
does.
we have a lot of little
40-year-olds.
kids
I know.
that are going to be using that, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
40-year-olds with kids, like you're a huge part of this.
And I guess the question is, do they want this or do they want nothing?
That's what I say to them.
That's the option.
And that's what you have to say to them, this is what it is.
And this is a
This is
unique
the way it works.
opportunity. I mean,
That,
if we're the
that's
first
rarely
ones to do
convinces
this-
people.
Yeah, true that.
There you
I
go. That's
think
a nice
this
way to spin it.
I
Sorry.
like that
Yeah, what's
though.
that?
I didn't realize that. Like we are trendsetters.
Yeah.
Really, this is the
Lasers,
first time this has
trendsetters.
been done. Somebody is being creative. This is creative management, creative thinking, creative. Like,
Yeah.
Resource
who's done
management.
this
Yeah, yeah,
before? Like I think that's actually
It's a sustainable way to build a community
it
center.
It
is
is.
a sustainable way.
It
And the
is.
synergies between the two and I think the expansion though does need to be a big part of it because it is.
Phase two, skate park.
Phase two,
Yes.
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the skate park's
But-
part of one, but.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part
Part of the parking lot.
skate
Yeah.
park, yeah, it should
Yeah.
be.
Put it right outside the council chambers. The skate
Yeah.
park, right there.
Yeah.
Monday night skating.
Like a bunch of lights and music.
All of a sudden, the kids are interested in politics.
Wow.
So you keep talking to them, Noah.
But
trying.
I'm glad you brought that up because
You know, it's good.
it's
I
hard to be
appreciate
on
it,
this
too.
committee and have that sort of pushback, because I get the odd time too, you know, people would be.
Yeah, I mean, I've
asking
certainly heard of
and-
complaints about their municipal hall.
Lots of pool stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can always try something like revamping, like the Tunstall Pool or something. Okay, we can't build a pool, but maybe we can refurbish that pool, which sadly needs a lot of work to keep going. So just throwing that out, if you.
Yeah. I don't think it's even even the building, I think that could be done. It's the staffing and the heating and the.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
all
yeah.
the pool
There's a house for
maintenance.
sale for $4 million.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a lovely
It has-
pool.
it has a
It's
pool.
beautiful there.
Community center.
Yeah, just explain the cost of the pool.
It's the operating costs, it's the
It's
$1
operating
million.
costs. That's-
$1 million a year.
$1 million a year, that's the big
Today.
movie.
I know.
thing, You know,
I-
and
yeah.
we can't run like Tunstall Bay,
And it-
because
if
it's,
somebody
because
comes-
it's a government facility, it has to have lifeguards. Tunstall Bay doesn't have lifeguards,
Right.
Yeah.
because they're private, so they don't have to. We have all sorts of regulations we would have to follow.
Yeah.
X number of lifeguards.
It was the treasurer of the Tunstall Bay Clubhouse that I got in an argument with about the pool. Cause he knows the numbers on what it costs to run that pool, and then he's like, even we added in lifeguards, he's like, there's no way this is $1 million to run a pool.
But he's
There's
But
no
that
union.
pool is
very
And
not,
I'm like I said, we looked at numbers from other community centers,
that
I'm
pool's
not lying
also
to you.
not adequate to be a
Right.
public pool.
Right.
And it's not
The
indoors.
size, yeah.
Right.
You'd
They're
have
only
to,
open in the warm weather.
Four
That's
times.
not what people
Yeah.
want. There's lots of ways to knock that argument down.
Yeah.
Just say
Anyway, you know,
there's not
somebody
a
might
big-
come along, somebody might come along and just drop, $1 million or $2 million, put a pool in and put a legacy in there to pay for it.
Yeah.
Then we'll build a pool.
and that happens.
And that happens.
It absolutely
Happens all the
does
time.
happen.
Well, it's actually more like $10 million.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 to 13 million, I
To
think.
build it.
10 to
Almost.
13
Yeah.
million to
Yeah.
build, they just did that on.
Yeah,
in
and $1 million
Williams
a year
Lake.
operating.
Yeah.
You know, we're hoping that when you go, you'll donate.
That's a nice
I
pool.
will. I'll donate everything I've got.
Okay.
It's a small pool. Real small.
Well, my thing with that is like, if there's somebody who's got that much money and is, say, drop them $1 million a year to run it, and everything, do we really want them to spend all their money on a pool? Well, there's all sorts of things that this island could use that we would just spread the money around. That's my
I'll
thing.
put some houses.
You don't need to look at gift horse in the mouth. They want to build a pool.
Well, yeah, I don't think they're gonna show up anyway, but, because they would have by now, if they were gonna. Yeah.
Okay.
That was
I'm
valuable
still a
discussion.
positive advocate. I'm not saying no. I'm
Let's
still
close that one.
That
pushing
was
it.
valuable
That was,
discussion.
it was
Yeah.
very valuable. That was-
Yeah,
that
no,
was a
it's great,
worthwhile
and
discussion.
then, just hang in there, Noah, do the best you can.
Yeah, it's not all of them. There's a lot of people voting for it too. So, but it's a good
Just that it's
chunk.
a concern.
They're like, ah.
But if we don't have to raise taxes, we don't have to vote, isn't that right?
No,
No?
you still have to vote to borrow the
borrow
money,
the
but
money.
it has no tax implications.
There
Oh,
is,
okay.
the $3 million is tax neutral.
Tax neutral for the.
When you look at all the leased spaces that were, yeah.
So it's not, and that's the other thing.
But it's not a tax neutral bill at all.
But the tax-
Well, who knows what it's
That's
gonna
what
end
they're
up on.
trying to do.
But the municipal portion of it is gonna be tax neutral.
Yeah.
And I hope that they don't think that they're actually having to pay for the municipal hall as part of that structure. And they think, well, if it wasn't the municipal
No.
hall wasn't there, we'd have all.
No, I explained that part
Oh,
to
okay,
them.
good.
Yeah, no, I explained that part to them.
Yeah.
No, they know that. They had a different idea. I guess the
Yeah.
group I was talking to have a different idea of how to do it. That's all.
Everybody.
And I should just say, listen, we should have got involved at the start then. Like, what are you doing, sitting at home thinking about it?
That's right.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
Yeah.
some truth in
You
that.
know, we can only do the best we can. We got a lot of brilliant people working on it.
that's a
Not
brilliant
me, but
idea.
A lot of brilliant people working on it, and
Yeah.
they've come up with a pretty good thing that's very flexible. Anyway.
I'm with you.
Okay, so let's carry on with the action items. So this is where I was supposed to do something, I did.
Yeah.
The research, I've switched to the next page.
Yeah.
So we're on the research funding possibilities for side-by-side tennis courts with lights and bubble. I'm not sure I added the bubble part, but.
I know, I kinda like it. Then it's
But
multi-seasonal.
kind of said the bubble, okay, the trouble.
Pain in
A
the
bubble
bubble.
is trouble.
Pain in the bubble. Pain in the bubble.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I have another thing. I thought about it a few times.
Me too.
I really have to do something.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about driving down from Westford actually tonight.
Okay, this is Gary's, work on municipal land designated as part of the community center for skate park, so that's ongoing.
Yeah, I think we just sort of beat that to death.
I think
in the last
those,
little while.
the next three
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are all,
And it all has to do
It's all
with
the
that.
same.
Yeah, it's all.
yeah.
And a lot too.
Yeah, what's
all
happening with the
about
ping pong
land.
tables in the library area? What, did anybody have with that?
No.
No, they said no? They're not interested?
I didn't ask, actually.
I didn't ask.
In the library?
No,
In the
it
Cove
would be great, it would be
Commons.
all day long, and matter was ready. No.
Inside or in the back?
No, in the
Sure.
patio
Yeah, yeah.
area, but then I was starting to think that that would be annoying for people in
It
the
could be.
library and the gallery, because it's kind of quiet in
Yeah.
galleries, and they're looking
Oh,
at
I
art,
think it's
and
a
then they're going,
brilliant idea.
Okay, so,
And swearing.
maybe not.
Okay.
It might not be the right space.
so the recreational programmers who are promote unstructured, unfacilitated pop-up events at various parks and beaches, they've done work on this.
Yeah.
Shauna sent that out to us to show what they've come up with.
Mhm.
Shauna, discuss painting lines on the basketball court at Bix.
So that's supposed to happen. We're waiting for a quote, and we talked about it at the Joint Management Committee meeting in November. It's on Scott Slater's
Radar?
radar.
Okay, good. Sam's been back to talk about
That's
this.
right, I did mine, that's
So
right.
tomorrow, Bonnie and myself, and if anyone here is
I'll
available,
be- I'm
and
coming.
people
It
from the
doesn't
Parks and
Yeah.
Trails,
How many is it gonna be?
people from Parks and Trails. So we're at Veterans Park tomorrow
Yeah.
at 11
11 o'clock.
to do a walkabout with this.
They actually have a route or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they've mapped it out. Sam's been out there with the disc golf people from town.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Good
He's
deal.
ready to
Yeah.
go.
He's
So
done
that
a lot of
encourages
work.
it.
He's,
Wow.
yeah.
He's motivated.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was great.
We're getting a bike park,
Yes.
disc golf this year.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
booming.
We're booming.
Okay, the next one is explore ideas of the underused municipal park, so that's
Yeah.
part of what they did.
Yeah, so the rec
Right.
programmers are doing some teddy bear picnics in Cates Hill Park, and they're gonna do a softball game at Aaron Sluggett Field.
Oh, nice.
Hey, where is that?
It's up in Evergreen.
So if you go right to the top or something?
You
is-
go, yeah, up
Yeah,
Amelia,
yeah.
up to the top, and then
Yeah.
there's a,
Last leg?
there is a, well, not actually, no, sorry, not right to the top. You go
Okay.
about halfway up,
Yeah,
past the cul-de-sac,
yeah.
halfway up, and then there's a chain
Yes.
across. It's
Oh,
in,
okay.
you walk up there.
Oh,
So there's no
You
parking
can drive up there and to the park.
on the other side, through Evergreen you can, yes,
Yeah, you can drive up through Evergreen
yeah.
and then.
And then just a
kind of
field up there.
Keep to your right.
yeah.
Right, and then all of a sudden you kind of come to this big open field.
Well, that's nice. I've been up there, but I hadn't, it was a while ago, probably
Yeah.
3 years ago. Was it there? No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it was there.
Was it?
Yeah,
So is there places for people to park if they come? Yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
Cool.
and it's nice and flat.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
really nice flat piece of
Yeah, yeah.
grassy
Yeah.
field.
Wow.
It's
How big?
nice.
Big as Veterans Park now.
No,
No,
Mm-mm.
no, it's not that big, but big enough to play a
Smaller than the
game
turf
of
field.
scrimmage on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, I don't know, how, what would you say?
It's lovely donated land.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. It
Yes.
is.
So we're going to the last one here. Suggest that one wall of the community center become a climbing wall. Do you put that out there, Shauna?
After I finish changing the design of the community center, the design team meetings with the architects, I'm gonna suggest this, but right now I'm still,
Just laying low.
right, every time I show up, they're like, oh god.
God, what do you want now?
What idea did she have last night?
And I can add to that if you need help getting design or contacting people.
Oh, right.
I can help with that.
Donna.
But that's early.
That's early, but just
yeah.
if the time comes, I can connect you
Perfect.
with climbers.
Thank you.
Okay, on the next page. Pop-up activities specifically for seniors in local parks. Walking group, Rabachi.
That hasn't happened, but I would say the rec programmers are trying to have something for seniors every day for 55 plus. In
Yeah,
terms
the
of
weight room
fitness.
is going really well.
The
right?
weight room group on Friday, there's jazzercise low now, there's a vintage spin.
Is that-
Vintage.
Two seniors are signed
Yeah,
up to
because who
vintage
comes to
spin.
that? That's pretty.
That's awesome.
Vintage spin,
Oh,
the
lights.
jazzercise low, the weight room is open. There's one more.
Well, there's Sky. We just
Excellent.
Sky on Monday,
Yeah, so,
So there is kind of something fitnessy every day for 55 plus.
good. And have they looked at lawn bowling on the turf?
They haven't, and that I will.
Because I know they used to love the carpet.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah, and we have all the stuff, so.
And what, oh, Sonia was gonna look at this collaboration with the Caring Circle to provide transportation. to recreation events for seniors. That's a pretty big one.
Pretty busy.
Chair.
Okay, Survey Monkey sent out all participants at
Yes,
session.
done.
Done.
This past one, yeah.
Written feedback forms,
Yep, that's also
that's
available.
done, okay.
Passion.
Ugh,
Wow, look at this.
job.
Well, you know, guys,
Done.
Things are happening.
yeah.
Very productive.
So these are just updates then.
Okay, what else we got on our little agenda here that I
So-
didn't join? Oh, no. Did you want to do an update?
Just quickly that the disc golf is happening tomorrow, obviously, and that the council adopted the work plan, which is the action item we just went through. In terms of the youth services and recreation programmers report, I'm just gonna let you guys read those.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Already
Is it
did.
time?
Fair enough.
Oh, no, we've got the island survey results for recreation.
Oh, right.
God, there's some funny comments in
There's
there.
some
I just
interesting
love it.
comments
The one I
in
read
there.
today was, it said something about a llama.
The llama?
Or there was a llama, the llama didn't catch the ball, it's just some out of space. I read it about 14 times. Is this a real
I know
what
there
this
is llama,
says?
but I don't know.
Something about a llama.
Do you want to go through these? Do we want to just read them and sort of have them in some of them we're already addressing. Community center comes up a lot in the island survey results. A few more amenities would be nice, like a community center.
I didn't find anything negative about those comments about the community center. Everybody's
No,
really keen.
active
That's like- except for the
transportation was
SP.
one.
Yeah, we're just gonna be blind to any mention of an SP.
More resources. The rec center has very little programming for seniors and are not interested. I took some offense to that.
Howie.
Just not interested.
We're just not
You don't
interested
care at all.
in seniors.
Do you have anything to do for seniors?
No.
No,
Go
we're not
away.
interested.
All I can do is hang around the corner and smoke. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, community meeting spaces are needed.
There are a lot of community events. Like in the summer, almost every weekend.
Oh,
There's something, yeah, if you want to go and do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, through the winter, I get, yeah, that's slow.
We're
but-
just challenging.
And someone did,
Yeah, the survey didn't go out in the winter, it go in the summer when it was happening.
somebody did comment that it's not a community center if there's no hockey
We've got too
rink
much
or
time on their hands.
It's not a
Yeah,
community
sure.
center, what, Tom?
if there's no hockey rink or pool.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
I don't know.
Different
Depends what your idea
Community
is.
But didn't Jordan say that their referendum on their community center failed 3 times?
Who's that?
Oh, I don't have any more.
Jordan Sturdy, remember when we had that meeting with them?
Yeah, yeah.
In West
I
Van.
know, in Pemberton, because
Right.
he's kind of basing it off of chatting with him about like, because Pemberton is 7,000 people, right? And it
Yeah.
failed
Mhm.
3 times in
So
a
how,
row.
like once a year or once every 10 years or?
No, I think it was once, well, actually, I don't know the timeline, but they had a referendum until they got it right.
But now they have one.
But they had one.
But
It's
they
very
have
One of the
to-
things that takes
It
a lot of
included a
staff to
skating
do a
rink the
referendum.
first time, and they voted it down. And then it included something else, and then they voted it down.
So they don't have those things then?
No.
No.
And the one thing he said is
They have a
the
big
commercial.
multi-purpose, multi-use spaces.
They don't want.
Pass me that plate.
Bad place for seniors aging out. Aging out.
Hey, no, I like
Aging
that,
out.
yeah. Aging out, yeah. Just aging out.
I think that's where I'm going.
One way to look at it, yeah.
Aging out.
Aging out.
We do it on Sundays.
Aging out.
So what does Pemberton have in their recreation?
They have a gym,
Facility.
they have a big gym that can be divided with a divider. They have meeting rooms, they have a big weight room. And that's about it.
No pool, no hockey rink?
No,
No,
they
no,
go,
no,
No
no.
hockey rink.
they
No,
go
no.
to Whistler for that though, and that's like a half-hour drive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they go to West Van.
Yeah, go back. It's quicker. Less than a half hour.
Yeah.
I know it's a little more expensive than the
This is
ferry,
true.
but you know, it's there.
It
I
is.
know, and a lot of people did say that, but it's hard for families with young people who have to head
Yeah, I
over
know.
there for all these different activities, and
expensive.
it's really
It is
expensive.
expensive.
It is $50 to go swimming, yeah.
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 Exactly.
But
That's
you
a-
do many
How bad
things,
do you
you
want
go
to
Plus
swimming,
your
and
time.
you do grocery shopping, and you go
Yeah.
to the library, you do
Yeah.
lots of things in one
Yeah.
trip.
Yes,
You
I
never
know.
do a one thing trip.
There's one comment on here which, you know, I'm kind of, is on the greenery. Why don't we do the greenery on Bowen? Like, that does seem like a pretty good idea.
The what,
Make
sorry?
it on soil, you mean like that? Like-
Yeah, just take the greenery, dump it
Oh,
into
the
a hole.
composting?
You
Yeah.
got-
Okay, s-
Use-
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
That-
to that.
that's not our expertise.
We added, there was an on-island composting facilities working group that
Yeah.
came from previous solid
Right.
waste group, which before my time, you guys would know about that. Research, meetings, it came to my understanding it was not financially feasible and it was looking like it was not environmentally feasible because in order to get the quantity that was needed, we need to bring in more compost. Which is more
I'm off on
This
And
is
it was
anecdotal,
hugely
but
expensive. too,
Hugely
wasn't it?
expensive,
The whatever it is was, and I don't know why it was so expensive. I thought it was
Yeah.
a passive thing, but anyway.
Yeah, I assume
But I
there's
just want-
environmental
Well, no, and
standards.
we are starting a sustainable environment advisory committee, which will include issues such as green waste.
Yeah.
But it's in a more overarching committee, they'll be addressing environmental concerns, just so that is placated.
Yeah.
The actual composting facility is,
very expensive.
It just seems like,
And it's a population thing.
I guess so, it just seems to me if you dump it into a hole and then throw some soil on top of it and then leave it for a year and then find
Yeah.
another hole.
Oh, you gotta turn it, and there's a weight for that.
I
There's
suspect
gas
it's
in
more.
from it. and it's-
Yeah, there is the
There's gas
gas.
and nobody wants it in their backyard, that's
Yeah.
another thing.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, that I believe, yeah.
There's a smell.
But this is.
thanks offering to host it.
The same person also wants safe bike lanes and a charging station in the Cove. Our roads are. We really have widened roads like two cars.
We will have
Well, no, that's happening,
We
that's
will have
started,
a
Yeah,
charging
the whole
station
thing
at
is-
the community center.
Okay.
Yeah.
and the bike lanes have started.
The bike
Yeah.
lane,
Yeah.
the
It's all happening, yeah.
It's all
bike
happening.
lane will be up this School Hill, soon.
Is that what that
Yeah.
widening
Yeah.
is for?
That's
Oh,
phase one
okay.
of 99 phases.
Yeah, exactly. In 100 years, you'll be able to bike across the island.
Two and a half million
I
bucks
will be
later.
able to sit on the bike by then. I'm already
Better
old.
Driverless electric cars.
Yeah.
The age
Like
of-
they say, our kids won't.
This
won't
charging
have license.
station crap, like just
No.
go home and
They'll
charge
never
your own
drive,
car. Why should
no.
we have to pay to charge a car? Like, come on, people.
They have to pay.
Well,
They
I
have to pay when
they're
they-
all free.
No, I don't know what ours is gonna be, but they have to pay at places to charge their car.
What does it, what does it cost, any idea?
I don't know. But you gotta
I
put
think-
coins in the thing to make it go. It's
Oh,
like
I
having a
had no idea.
shower.
I thought you just plugged it in. I had no idea.
No, you have to pay.
Okay, well, I've got it.
Otherwise
It's not very much.
otherwise it'd be like an internet cafe,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of people using the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hanging out, charging their car.
Sure.
Yeah. Charging their car, that's right, yeah.
Extension
Plug
cord
the
down.
car in, go to the free internet, eh? Why not? It's a great place.
All right, so we have a couple of game carryovers from December, but we're hoping that it'll help with getting this group familiar with the FAQs. And I know some of you have been studying for 2 months now, because we missed our December meeting.
Handy for my niece and my friends.
I could have gone in December, but now,
Since we are all getting questions about the community center, hopefully, these are not the extensive list of the FAQs, because since we did this back in December, there are now 6 or 7 more that are gonna be up on the website very soon. The steering committee has just been vetting, but for now, we thought, Steph and I decided if you guys could get into 2 teams. We have a little matching game, so there's questions on the red pieces of paper, and there are
Steph and Sean are my
answers on the
Yeah.
green pieces of paper.
Yeah, match them up.
And if you could
We'll
just
take the green paper.
work together,
I like that, yeah. Good plan.
work
Right,
together
let's
in your
space
team
here.
to try and match them up.
Okay, we
Should
got
that be
this.
you,
I guess
man?
we're.
You 3, maybe?
Yeah.
We're doing, we'll go for it.
Those 3, yeah, you can
Okay,
move
what
over.
are we doing? Where am I, I'm going, you guys are there, you're a team and I'm.
What do we do?
So we're-
We match
No, we're not in it.
Okay, we're not in it.
And sometimes we're not in it.
Oh, come on,
Say our
I'm gonna say
spokesperson.
Sean Junior.
Every time you get a match, you get a
Are
candy.
these all together already?
I think they're mixed up, and I think we have to match
Hold
them.
on.
You sure they're mixed
We
up?
do.
I think
Should
all-
I get set up for ready?
I said, that's not healthy.
I know.
You're timing us?
Yes.
Ready?
The answers, and
Red is the question.
Okay, so
So you
let's-
gotta match
Take
the
a
question.
green,
I'm
line
gonna
up,
give
line up.
you
Four.
Read
I
it.
can't read this.
Just
I don't
read
have
it.
Just
my-
line them up, just line them up, just line them up.
I can't see what's
Start
over
the
there.
time.
I think that's part of your process. I think we should say go.
Go.
No, I'm not ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Well, then you guys are both doing the same setup, so it'll
Yeah,
be
that's a
fine.
good idea.
Okay, so,
So we have to find an answer to the red.
Oh, here, I got one.
Okay, if you've got one, let's start.
here we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is good now.
Just throw it.
Okay, so ask one question.
Okay.
Too many of these things.
What's in the building?
What's in the building? I see when it's
Oh, they
opening.
have a commercial kitchen. There's another no, find a no.
Oh, here, what will it cost? I got that one.
Nice one.
Okay.
Okay.
Why no
I
swimming
think
pool?
this is the fire hall. This is-
You got one, you got one.
We
got one.
It's in the building.
Yeah, I think we got
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So,
Okay, so what's that
We
one?
got
here's
two.
the size, where's the size?
Okay,
Oh, two.
Will there be parking?
parking.
Will there be parking?
Yes, there will be
There will be
parking.
parking.
We got three.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I saw that.
What, they did already?
Here's the kitchen.
Got another one.
Kitchen, we got
Kitchen.
that.
Got another one.
Can we get grants to pay for it? They're fast.
Yeah, I find,
Funding,
find the answer and then
funding
find the
sources, here,
question.
this must be funding sources.
There's a trail.
Some of the
Another
wording
one.
is funny.
That was the grants, wasn't
We got
it?
another one.
Maybe.
And they got another one.
I don't know. No? Did we get something wrong?
Oh, no, that's the,
Is it a coffee shop? Is there a question about a coffee shop?
Do you have? a
Here,
business
here
plan?
you performing arts.
Same
okay.
one.
Okay, got another one.
This one goes
Get
there.
another one.
Okay,
Okay.
ask another question, what's this
Hey, we're
thing
getting
over
better
here?
now.
Who will pay
Oh,
for
yeah,
it?
this is the
Who
grants
will
one.
pay for it?
Which I got, because that's what
Why
I
do
did.
we need a community?
Here's
Well,
a
let's,
post-it.
let's see if we've got another
Yeah,
one.
sure.
Yeah.
Post
Who
is
will
that?
pay for it?
Where was
Business
it
plan
located?
is
Located one.
Space.
Located.
Yeah, business
Good
plan.
deal. Yep, here it is.
Do you
Red
want to read the whole thing?
Is that it?
Okay,
No, keep going.
Who is designing the building?
Not the beginning.
She's motivated.
Just random.
here's more fundraising words.
No, yeah, I think you got that one. Yeah,
Cost
good
18
one.
a pool.
Is it in there?
Right here.
No, it's not.
No, it is, you're,
Okay, oh, this is the answer.
I know it is.
That was that one. Two more.
Okay.
I think this is,
It's always, who will pay for it?
well, we've got,
It is, it is,
large
it is.
one.
good.
Okay, well then that might be not.
That's the opening, that's the opening. That
Because
one's
in
gone.
the,
Got another
in
one.
the information, it says that one.
It's that
Yeah.
one.
Sustainable?
It's not.
Sustainable.
okay, so it's just these two.
What says no in the.
Local.
It's not
Here's the
disaster.
coffee
It is supposed to
kiosk
say.
there.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
That's
There.
Done.
We are so smart. I don't even know if we got them all right. but
We
we're-
have to check them.
She's gonna check.
Okay, here,
them.
I need
no,
how
she
can you
can't.
donate?
There you go.
There's like,
Programming, programming, programming.
Programming.
checking to see if you're.
Steph's
cheating
helping,
music.
isn't cheating. Steph's been
Look at that one, that's
I'm
it.
just looking for keywords. Think that the
Yeah,
keyword-
I know that.
I know, I was trying to read each one.
I know, but-
I said, we were one of them.
Now we need two names. We're gonna, next phase.
The
Rose
winners,
between
the winners,
two
the
thorns.
losers.
There are no losers in community recreation.
It's all about participation.
Okay, the participators and the floaters.
Yes, I like that.
We are all winners.
Are you ready for the next game?
There's another game? This is.
There's
awesome.
another game. Do you guys want to review any of these?
No,
Are we good?
we didn't even read them.
I'm like, we did, that's
Okay, Steph, line up
We
the
should be happy
next
that we
game.
have the knowledge.
Okay, so a couple of ways for the voters, is that?
Yeah, go for it. Participators and
okay with gloaters.
Participators in
I'm
gloat.
I'm proud to be a gloater. I hardly ever get anything to gloat about.
Participators?
Yes.
Participators.
Yeah,
Or use that word. Participants, what am I saying?
Participant.
Now you got an extra two.
No, it's not really. It's
Potatoes.
Participant.
Okay, so the next game is, Sean is gonna give you you have to practice silence too. So
Oh, my
Sean
lord.
will give one team member a question.
Oh, no.
The member
It's like
question-
charades?
No, he's
Like
just
Jeopardy.
reviewing what you just learned. The
Oh, we had to
person,
read it.
the person will read it out. The person will read out loud, and then the team or the person who's reading it has to answer it.
Okay.
And we are gonna know the answers, right, Sean, or we have an answer key there.
We have an answer key.
It's cheating.
Where's the answer?
Okay, so this is the answer. What's on here?
Oh, yeah, it's Jeopardy. that's
Jeopardy.
right.
It's like Jeopardy. Oh. What's on here is the answer.
So do we have to say what is or?
Yeah, well, however you want to. But you have to come up with the question
Right, sorry.
that matches this answer.
Okay.
All right?
So is it
Yeah,
by team,
it's
like
like
are
something-
We're gonna alternate. If they can't get it, you guys can steal
Are we
it.
allowed to
So
talk?
you can be,
amongst-
Not until
we
they
can
finish
decide
their
what the
questions.
or whispering like Family Feud.
Yeah.
Whispering. And then you can flirt like the
I'm excited.
So the gloaters get to go first.
The
The gloaters get to go first,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
So one of you is gonna pick one of
Wanna
these.
pick one?
You're the reader, the other two people have to decide what the question is.
Oh,
Is there a time?
No, it's besides.
No, because we'll just throw it to the other guy.
Yeah.
All three of us. can-
Actually, no, you're right, we should time it, because when we throw it to the guys.
So like, am I reading and then just you two are guessing?
No, all three
all
of
three
you.
of us.
Oh,
Sean is
three.
right
What,
now.
he has to guess too?
Yes.
Sure.
He can guess.
Because we're not learning.
And he doesn't know the answer
Oh,
any more than
Slow
they.
crowd, eh?
Yeah.
So sad.
What's the question again?
What are we doing? I don't understand.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Moving towards completing design development. Moving towards completing
What is the
Where-
time
development.
frame?
Where is the, yeah, what is the time frame? Where is the plan now?
All right.
Okay, yay!
Nice.
Okay,
Things are made,
I think if you don't get it in, that was 10 seconds. I think if you don't get it in 15 seconds, the other team gets to steal
I think 20.
it. 20?
Oh, the participants, yes.
Lords, we can do it fine.
Can we answer for them?
No, not until
Only
they
when we
get
pass it
to
over.
Ready?
Sure.
Go.
Owen Island Community School, grass field.
What is, what,
Yeah,
where is it located? Where is
Yes.
the
Yeah.
community center located? I was trying to do the Jeopardy thing, like, oh, I did it.
And the finished ones go in here.
What is
What
blue
is-
water grass?
All right, ready?
Okay, go.
Got steel.
You ready? A place to gather, access facilities and an enemy.
Community municipal.
The ocean.
Recreation. Yes.
Thank you.
The
What was
ocean.
it? What was it?
The new municipal hall community recreation.
No, I think it's why do we need a community center,
Gotta
right?
get recreation out of there. No
So
recreation.
what is it? What is it?
Okay.
What is it? Gather.
What is it?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
A little gloating.
I forget 2 for that one.
You should get 2 points for that.
Okay, mandate to deliver affordable and accessible recreation programming.
What is the mandate of the rec commission component of?
Community center.
Very good.
I'm glad you said that.
That's what we said, okay.
What was the
What
answer?
is the mandate?
Mandate to offer.
Mandate of the recreation department
Oh.
of the municipality is to offer accessible and affordable
Oh.
recreation programming.
Sam, read away. Do better reading than I did.
Oh, I can't read.
Oh, you can't read?
Okay. One-time donations, fundraising events, donation
How
of
are you going to
materials.
fund the building of the
sponsoring-
community?
Nice one.
Yeah, you should read that out loud, actually.
Nice
That's-
Oh,
we're
should I
learning.
read it again? One-time donations, fundraising events, donation of materials, sponsoring a building component, and becoming a partner or naming sponsor.
Woo!
Lots of funding
That's a good
opportunities.
Lots of opportunities to give money.
Okay. Wearing my glasses. Oh, it's a short one, yeah. Rentals available.
Will rentals be available?
So will groups be able to rent space?
To rent space.
Because people were worried about that. They were
Yeah.
asking, will we be able, the community be able to rent the space in the community center, or is it gonna be all programmed?
Oh, I thought it was like renting roller skates.
Sure.
No.
No.
To roller skate?
Oh,
That's for the skate park, yeah.
All right, you can't take a point away from us.
Erasable marker.
We put that in the
No,
done thing.
burnables, okay. Donations and grants, community fundraising, cash reserves, municipal land sales, and debt leveraging.
How to raise money.
Donations and grants, community fundraising, cash reserves, municipal land sales,
Yeah, how
and
will
debt
we be
leveraging.
raising money?
How we.
What money's
funding-
gonna
How are
be
we
used
going
for
to
the
be
community
raising
center.
Sounds good to me.
Time, 19 seconds.
It was
Oh,
pretty
come on.
time. It was fine.
Pam said it 3 times, and we just didn't listen.
Yeah, I don't know, because he wanted to finish the sentence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Maybe there should be a rule that you're not allowed to start answering until it's read.
Oh.
Rules, I love rules.
And Craig gets the 2 words.
Like a three-liner.
Putting a paragraph.
That was the current fundraising strategy.
Right.
Oh, it might change.
Provincial and federal infrastructure and arts funding grants, foundations, corporations of business, and private donations.
So many.
Where are we gonna get the grant money and funding?
That sounds good, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
sure.
lot of financial.
Yeah, lots of-
Where are we getting the money? That is the most important part, isn't it?
Apparently, we're all about the money.
Surprise.
Okay, weddings, conferences, and retreats.
What
What
will
can
be
you have here?
held in this facility? Can
What-
be, what
yeah, what
potentially
can be
can
held
be
in
held in
facility?
this
I think
facility?
Pam's waiting for the.
Which
voters.
room? Which room did we go?
Yeah.
Well, it depends how big it is.
Yeah.
Time,
Hold on.
It's a multi-purpose room. Large multi-purpose.
Actually, that's
I
really
think that's
important too,
steel
though,
for
because
us.
that's not, it's not just the theater. That's the
Exactly.
actual wedding. It's not just the
Theater.
arts, it's the
Because those
community
seats go
space.
push back in the wall.
Community space.
The seats are retractable.
You can
Oh,
get-
so like you can have a
marriage
wedding
license
there.
at the same
Yes.
time.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just walk away
I
and
just
marry.
learned something.
Yeah.
That-
We missed something.
Yeah, we
That's
missed something.
good.
She learned something.
I didn't know that
In a wedding center.
like a space like that could actually hold weddings in it.
Well, that's what we were
Because the
Yeah.
seats fold back into the wall.
But Noah actually came up with a really good plan. You could go to the municipal hall, get your wedding.
license. Get
And have
married.
your wedding.
Boom.
Done.
Perfect.
Get Joe married.
Save yourself a trip.
Yeah, I can marry you. Only today though, because I'm only acting mayor today. So tomorrow you're out of luck.
That is so great. That's a great thing. Destination wedding spot.
There you go.
All in one.
And the kitchen,
The Vegas.
the little kitchenette
The Vegas of
in the
Bold
living
Island.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kitchenette in the living room will be able to have the catered food for the wedding.
So amazing.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
I like the
That
hand
is
moves.
good. Build it.
We should build
It's
it.
truly
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh.
Then we'll demonstrate.
We should build it.
One doesn't have much on it.
Oh, you got the littlest piece of paper you can find.
All right, the projects are funded differently. The fire hall and the communities.
All of us,
Well
that
done.
studying
We got a
paid
winner.
off.
Well done, Donna.
Hold on.
Done.
The voters must have got one because they went first.
Oh, yeah, you must have missed one of ours.
Yeah,
Because
Oh.
I think it's rigged.
We've been brilliant
This is
all the way
rigged.
along.
This one's rigged.
I've been gloating all the
Well, they've been participating.
Yeah. They don't gloat at all. Pam hasn't got her glasses, so it's a challenge. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'm giving her extra time on the,
Okay, you don't set the timer yet.
I'm giving you a little extra time.
Cost-effective life cycle cost strategies.
what is the cost strategy for light
What-
effectiveness?
Is the building going to be green and environmental?
Oh.
Oh, good for you.
I'm pretty sure she's checking. We're looking into it.
Sustainable, sustainable.
Sustainable, you know what I meant.
I'm trying to repeat the words back.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is the building gonna be green?
Will the community center be a
Let's
green
read it
building?
backwards.
Is it sustainable?
There you go.
That was a bit of a toughie.
Yeah, I was worried about
We have
that.
to use our.
You'll notice.
It's harder, it's harder as time goes on here. I didn't
We
realize.
should have tiered them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, next time.
We've had 2 months to prepare.
It must have been fun over Christmas.
Okay, community events and gatherings, recreation and arts programming and performing arts, fitness and child minding to painting and theater.
Things that can be used in
What'll
the
be happening in our new community
Yeah,
center?
what are we gonna use the community
Oh,
center
okay,
for?
that's
Is that
more-
all in the, is that could be a little multi-purpose room too? No, recreation.
Yay! Boy, that's a bit of a stretch. I think, huh?
Oh my god.
Oh, he's got another long one. He's behind you.
He was got time. He was out.
He's not even yet, so.
Before he started reading.
1 large multi-purpose room with retractable seating and performance
Theater,
stage
will
dressing rooms.
will the theater look?
No, he's got
like?
one. That was one.
2 small multi-purpose room with kitchenette. 3 fitness studio. 4 community living room. 5 meeting rooms. 6 municipal offices.
What will be in the community center?
Public spaces, yeah.
Just got it.
So I guess,
Well,
can I
you
just
gotta
jump
get time
in?
to read it.
Try not to call this the theater, try to call it the large multi.
Large multi-purpose room.
Because when it's not, like, there are
Unless
yoga
we're
classes in
talking,
there.
unless we're talking to a
Isn't that yoga
performer.
classes up
Then
there?
you want to
They
say
call it-
theater.
Know your audience.
What
Know
the-
your audience.
Isn't that yoga up
Who's
top?
up?
I'll do it, I'll
You
do
can
it.
do yoga in there, yoga classes, right?
With the-
Yeah,
the
and
next year.
yoga, parent and taught, playtime, gym time will be in there.
Just no
Yoga
basketball.
going on the
It's
island.
25,
They were all
square
doing
feet.
basketball.
It's half the size of the school gym here.
No, that's good size.
And that's gonna be big
It-
enough for a theater? The
it-
theater
it-
people will be.
Yeah,
happy
we've
with that?
designed it specifically, it'll be similar to the Roundhouse Theater in Yale.
It's pretty
Okay,
big.
how big is
Be
the
about 200
Tiernanog
capacity.
theater?
Oh, but not that small. Not that
80
small.
seats, this is
What is
180.
this is
What place?
180 plus flooring.
180
floor
plus
seating.
floor seating.
So like almost 200 seats.
Yeah.
That's big.
Okay,
All right, Craig.
the
take it
answer
away.
is a referendum.
What we have to do before we
We
can
get
move forward.
money, what do we have to do to
Allocate
get the money?
the
But what we have-
borrowing expenses
Yeah,
to
Well,
build the
but we have to
community.
hold
centers.
before we can move forward with the project.
Yeah.
Yes.
To get
Yeah.
community approval.
That
Oh, we
was
might not have to
very
do it.
good. I think it's a good question to me.
What will stop this
What will end
So bad.
Voters were
That's so
so, they
bad.
were just waiting to take
Come
that.
on.
Business plan development.
Yeah, how about it?
How about it?
What's one of the phases of the development of the municipal hall, having a business plan?
To pay for it.
These are tough, they're cryptic answers.
I crypted
Business
them.
plan
Crypted
development.
them.
What's required
What is needed?
from,
Required
Business
to
plan.
move
Just
forward
develop.
in the first stages of building this.
What is the next stage?
Oh.
Because that's, but that, the steering committee, oh, sorry, I'm helping you. Should be helping the
I think we have.
The steering committee was tasked with working on
So what
that. The
has to
design
be
team
done?
is doing the structural engineering.
Oh, time is way up.
What has to be done to get,
Yeah.
But wasn't it
to
just?
go to the public for grants or whatever?
The question
You only
was.
get one shot at.
Oh, the buzzers.
I
The
know.
question was, do you have a business plan for the operation? So what did you guys
the
say?
answer
Tell me what it
says,
is.
a business plan development.
Wait, what?
The answer
It's in
is
development.
It's in development.
Oh.
So the correct answer is
There's
no.
There's sorry, girls, but there's no in on this.
Okay. My bad.
That's
What do we
a
do? We punish them for
We
going.
get fired. We get a point. We get a point.
We get the point, because there was no in in it. How can we get the question right?
I'll do it quickly. It was a really tough question.
There
That's why
was,
it's
very
Especially without an
fair.
in.
Okay, are you ready?
The answer is?
Fill the current unmet needs for programming space. Fill the current unmet needs.
What are you gonna do with all these empty spaces,
Yeah.
all the different
All
rooms?
the
Yeah,
different buildings.
all these different rooms.
But I think
yeah.
it was like saying, is it gonna be competing with other spaces? And the answer is no, because there isn't a need,
No.
right?
So there's a need.
I think we
Yeah.
still got it.
It's filling an unmet need.
They get a wiggly one.
We're getting worse.
They get a wiggly one.
It's wiggly.
It's not as wiggly as
It's
ours.
really-
Ours is really
really
wiggly.
It was shorthand. It was shorthand answers.
I guess the idea is it's supposed to be like, you're supposed to be triggering your memory of those matching ones.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is really odd, but anyway. Bowen Island Municipality.
Who's
What is
gonna own the building?
Yay!
Oh!
Man, very good.
I remember that from our thingies.
Yeah, just think of the thingies.
It's one of the ones I read.
Oh, wow, trail access.
Will there be access from the school to the community?
Yay!
Nice.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes. That was in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thingies too.
Yes,
That's a-
Not a consideration of this project. Will there be a pool?
That's not the answer.
Oh, that's not the answer?
not the
Oh,
answer.
not a consideration of this project.
Ice rink.
It actually has nothing to do with,
Pool?
with a recreation facility.
Oh,
Okay, what was the answer?
not a consideration of this project.
Okay, think of your matching game.
Well, we didn't read them all.
You can-
Okay, there's a steal. There's an opportunity for a steal.
There you go, guys.
Good point.
This is your chance.
Okay.
I'm not rereading the question.
It's your chance to steal.
Not a consideration of this project.
Yeah.
It's not a consideration at this time in the project, so what could it possibly be? It's
Is
not
it
a pool,
an
it's not an ice rink.
emergency
You got 15, you got
center?
5 seconds.
Oh, an EOS?
Yeah,
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 Emergency Operations Center?
yeah.
Nope.
Screaming?
Well, affordable housing.
Oh!
Project.
Oh my God, what are people expecting?
That's the FAQ.
I thought you gave us 4 extra
I didn't
points.
give you one
I
more
thought you
point.
gave me-
She just wiped us right
And
out.
she gave us 4 extra half points.
You didn't get it, you didn't get it. It's
No.
fine. But now it's your turn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, answer is building plan and design and surrounding lands. So what is it?
It is really
involve?
cryptic.
I know. Building.
What was it again?
Building plan and design and surrounding lands.
What do we need to make this work?
Yeah, or is it like
What-
the
What
company
do we
that
need to
hired-
start going?
This is, the company
Well,
that
we
we
got
hired,
here.
this is what they're doing?
Oh,
They're doing
done,
the
done.
design-
Let's,
The design and.
Sorry, we got a better
Was that
answer.
right? Did you hear my?
Sorry, Shauna.
I'm trying to find, she's trying to find the answer.
Oh, yeah, well, that was the answer, I heard it.
Something to do with the company that we've hired to,
Building plan design.
do the building plan, the design, and something to do with that?
We'll tell you in a sec.
Okay.
what's the answer?
Building.
Building plan and design and surrounding lands.
What does the plan involve? The surrounding area and the building and,
Building plan and design.
It's about,
so what is,
What's the
what
question?
is
the
it?
question is, I thought the community lands were supposed to be for, oh no, that's the other one.
What is
You're,
it?
you're still on community, I'm a little.
I'm still on affordable
This is before
housing.
Christmas.
Were you drinking when you guys did this?
It was Christmas time.
Yeah, that's right.
Rum and eggnog, rum and eggnog.
You'll never get this one. Never.
Let's leave a few words out.
Yeah, let's take some words out, no,
That's too easy.
Well, if he was the score, they both got incredibly cryptic ones and, oh, unless you guys want to steal.
Well, that's
But you
what
did
I
steal,
just
but-
tried to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what
I tried to say.
Sean, the answer.
I don't know what that one is.
No score. Okay,
No score.
15,000 square feet.
How large is the municipal hall section?
Woo! No. How much is the building? The whole thing?
15,000?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. Whole building.
Yep. How big is the building?
That's the building, so we need to.
Sorry, I'm gonna move us along here because I
Yeah.
really want to
Okay,
get this
maybe-
7:25.
Do you want to read on the people?
What grade?
Huh?
I love the
Seven.
They get one more shot at to tie us.
motivation.
This is for all the marbles. You get this wrong, we
Get this
win.
wrong, we win.
We-
And
No, no, we got time, we got
No,
time.
but we don't want you to.
You don't want
It's,
it.
it's,
We all want
I
to
still
hold
got
that
ferry.
dinner.
One of you will drive me to the ferry.
Okay, ready?
We're ready.
Too expensive for cooking, team.
Will there be a commercial kitchen?
Too expensive.
Too expensive.
It's all you,
You
man.
again.
It's all you. It's 3 words.
Craig Burns Principal Architecture.
Who is
Who's the
designing?
company that's designing it?
I thought I was, I gotta be
How many
It's
more
part
are
of
we
your
doing?
volunteer
Yours,
part.
those will be really
Oh, I
enjoyable.
know.
How many more are we doing?
Look, we can finish, I think.
Okay.
Oh, it's a
Oh,
slow wheel.
okay, this is gonna be a tough one. Answer is local trades whenever possible.
Who's gonna build it?
Nice, nice. No,
Was it me?
yep. Oh, let's go.
33.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know.
How many
Oh,
rooms?
so excited.
How many rooms are there?
33.
How many activities are there?
Nope,
Is it the longitude or latitude of the building?
nope.
Oh, come on.
How many parking spaces?
Yes!
Like longitude and latitude. Parking, I didn't know that one.
I didn't either.
I didn't, so I'll admit it. I
But
didn't
that's,
know.
that's not enough parking spaces.
We know. There's actually a new
No, I know.
FAQ to do the.
Okay, good.
Oh, you got
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020.
hindsight.
Close.
What do you think? 2020. When's it gonna be?
2000.
When's it gonna be? Oh, yeah.
Donna's still stuck on hindsight.
I'm still
What else could it be?
2020 vision.
Okay, guys, we can do this one. $10 million.
How much is it
What's
gonna
it gonna
cost?
be? Yeah.
Not the right answer.
Easy one.
Oh yeah, there's a new FAQ. There's a new FAQ.
Okay, here you go. Okay, so the answer is BIM can obtain a mortgage loan to pay for its own offices instead of paying rent. So,
Correct.
What is correct?
How are you gonna finance the
yeah, how's
municipal
the, how's
section?
the municipality gonna finance their portion of the?
Yes.
You know what's good, like, what's the fantastic thing about having municipal offices here?
Yeah.
So you have like tenants to
Yeah.
provide
Yeah.
the leverage for mortgaging.
Yeah, Dan's got this.
Sharing in the hydro, sharing in the janitorial.
Which longer word, longer does that?
The operational and maintenance costs are prohibitive.
Why can't we have a swimming
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Do it when you can. It's not right now.
pool? Large multi-purpose room. Oh, geez. What can hold weddings? What is a theater?
What is it, where the performing arts gonna
What
be?
is, yeah.
Yes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's the biggest room in the city?
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on those
It
weddings.
doesn't include a performing arts space.
We got it, just so.
So you-
Emergency
Make sure-
management program. Emergency management program.
This is so
EMP.
Will there be an EMP program at the community center? No, there probably won't. That's not a good question.
I know, I think I know what it is.
What is missing from the municipal hall? What will they not have?
Will
Library.
it be a gathering spot when there's emergencies? Yes.
Oh.
It will be an emergency, whatever.
Management program.
Yes.
Pause. It is, will the building be designed as post-disaster
They had a chance to
facility?
steal. And you
Oh,
just gave
well,
it
that's
back.
what
I
I
knew
was
that too.
Ooh, they had that, their matching game as well.
Oh, well, I did
Yeah.
say emergency.
We're all adults here.
I got it right.
So what was the
You got
answer?
it right.
You did get it right.
Emergency management
I'll
program?
give that to you, gloaters.
Yeah.
We got it right!
I was just gonna say, we'll try not to gloat and then you.
Super glower.
That's not a post-disaster.
Right over the edge.
No, I know. It'd be a
So did
tie.
you
EOC is gonna be built to be post-disaster facility. The community center is gonna be building in accordance 1.5 or 1.3, which is a, normal is 1.5 or 3, I'm sorry, I can't remember which one, is schools, community centers, a little bit
Oh, yeah,
higher
yeah.
than a home. And then the EOC is gonna be post-disaster, because it's the
Oh, right.
emergency operations center.
Actually, my house has been so well built that we are an emergency center. We have huge concrete walls, massive beams,
Do you
only
have
in the
a pool?
basement.
Somebody was thinking about the end of the world.
Here, I go in here.
Okay, go.
Okay, so the answer is Bender Run.
Because we're so good.
Bender Run, it's the coffee shop
coffee
in
shop.
the,
Yeah, okay,
in the
go.
community center. Who's gonna run the coffee?
Well, somebody else gotta
Are
go
you
on
just,
that
are you just,
side.
are you just rolling with
But you
it?
said Bender Run, I thought you said Bender, had they no
Bender.
name of the coffee
This is
shop
super
already?
quick.
That's the bar.
Sean is packing
Bender.
up.
We are considering this option.
Oh, I don't know. I did the red and green ones, and she did this one.
Are we considering a sports court?
Yeah, sport court.
Sports
Or
court,
skate
we are.
Skate park.
a
Well,
skateboard
skate
park.
park maybe, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe along the lines of.
Is it gonna be
solar-
skating?
Solar fence.
People,
Not an
We are
SP.
considering this
Well, it
option.
is an SP.
We need to answer this question for
Solar
Sean.
fence.
What is it?
Considering this option.
We are considering this option.
Just took the answers away.
Okay.
Okay.
on
Oh,
to
no,
the-
what?
Well, we
Tie
can't play
game.
anymore then.
Well, we got it.
Yeah.
No, we got
Hold on, you guys.
Yeah, tie
actually 2
game.
points for that.
Should we just read them out,
Two
just and we'll all
questions.
answer them?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good, good.
The operating budget would be at least 70% beyond what the revenue would support.
The swimming
The
pool.
swimming pool, yeah, why can't we have a swimming
Oh, that's a
pool?
good one.
Okay, coffee kiosk.
Will there be a coffee shop?
Yeah,
Or
will-
what will there be?
Will there be a vendor-run facility inside there?
Apparently, from the last answer.
Yeah.
One-
Big deal.
This one is 1.6 acres out of 40 acres.
How much?
That's
yeah.
how much
How much
land.
land?
How much land.
Lot too.
Of community.
Well done.
Well done. Well done, you guys.
Start running.
Boy,
That was without
talk
you
about
studying.
getting ginned up, right?
Thank you guys. I have to say that sentence was in
You're
there.
welcome.
Really fun. I can't wait till next week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now we have the games every week.
Jeez, there goes your phone.
That's
Yeah.
why you
Yes.
have games.
That's my first rule as the new chair. We must have games every week.
And the new games. Well, that was pretty fun.
That was great fun.
Start every session with a dance party.
There we go, bunch
You know
of
the boat
John's
is in,
friends.
right? You know the boat is in and the light is green.
Kind of broke the ice.
Light's been green. It's 7:25.
The boat's right there though.
Yeah, but it's always early.
Can't go.
Doesn't leave early.
It doesn't leave my children,
Well,
not
they leave,
for
they
me.
leave when they want to leave.
No, it's pretty good.
It's a ferry, so you can do whatever they want.
Yeah.